presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Buffalo Bills versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
A warm day in Tampa just turned into a wet one. As just a few minutes ago, the rain came for this afternoon's matchup of the AFC and the NFC. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tampa Stadium. I'm Joel Myers. Alongside Dan Hampton, the AFC, NFC, the 3-0 Buffalo Bills, the 0-3 Buccaneers. Big problem for the Bucs. How do they stop the #1 offense in the NFL, the no-huddle of the Bills?
Well, the best way to stop this Buffalo offense is you've got to keep it off the field. Last week, the New York Jets did that almost to perfection, controlling the ball for over 40 minutes, Joel. For Tampa Bay to have a chance, they've got to be able to pound away at a very soft, injury-decimated Buffalo front.
168 yards on the ground last week for the New York Jets, and Scott Norwood has it teed up. Not many. Oh, actually, the former UCLA Bruin, Norwood no longer kicking off. Brad Delwiso kicking it away. He had 6 great ones last week, but this is a short one into the wind. And it's taken by Gary Anderson. Anderson on the kickoff returns across the 25 to the 27-yard line, a 16-yard return. Brought down by another former UCLA Bruin, Marcus Patton. Vinny Testaverde, the subject of a lot of controversy around the Tampa Bay area. And this offensive line, a couple of big changes. John Bruin gets to start at left guard, his first start in better than 2 years. And Charles McRae, the rookie from Tennessee, his first career start at right tackle. Anderson and Wilson in the backfield, Carrier and Hill, the wideouts, and one of the best tight ends in the NFL, Ron Hall, joining Vinny Testaverde. 1st and 10 at the 27. The wideout Hill is in motion, and the give for a first down across the 38 to the 39. That was Gary Anderson. Bills defense really hit hard. Bruce Smith again out for at least another week. They expect him to possibly be back next week. First start in 54 games for Mark Pike over on the right side. Talley, Bailey, Conlon, Bennett, the stability factor for this defensive front 7 for the Bills. And in the secondary, Odoms, Williams getting the start. Smith and Kelso are the safeties. And James Williams right now, the injured Buffalo Bill, he beat out Kirby Jackson during the preseason. Jackson missed about 3 weeks of the preseason, and Marv Levy told us yesterday that Williams played so well that it was an easy choice. They felt it was a natural choice to make. And there you see number 31 getting hit by his own man. So a first down carry. And now the first round draft choice out of Fresno State from last season. Great special teams player at Fresno State as well. It'd be a huge, huge loss. He started 5 last year before taking over the starting position for good this year from Kirby Jackson. It looked like Leonard Smith, his own teammate, got him a little bit on that last play.
Well, Joel, a lot of people around the league think Leonard Smith really is kind of a reckless player. Here you'll see he's trying to take out the legs of the receiver, inadvertently hits his own player. That's one of those over-aggressive type of plays that sometimes when you put your head down, you're going to cause some problems. Didn't even see his own player back there. May have really hurt his knee.
So unfortunately, an early injury to the quarterback, James Williams. We'll come back to find out the developments when we return to Tampa. Injuring his left knee on that very first offensive play of the game for the Buccaneers, and it really looked like his teammate Leonard Smith was totally out of control.
Well, a lot of people think that Leonard Smith, not only being very reckless, a lot of times he's kind of a dirty player, going for a lot of receivers' legs. That time it kind of backfired on him, very much so.
Well, they got the first down on the carry by Gary Anderson. Give this time to Reggie Cobb, and good running room again across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Well, that was the mode of operation for the New York Jets, and no doubt they wanted to do it and control the ball to keep the Bills off the field as Mark Pike makes the stop. Richard Williamson under fire, and well, he didn't get exactly a vote of confidence from the general manager earlier this week, Dan, from Phil Kruger, when he said, let's face it, Richard was 1-2 over the final 3 after taking over last year. He's 0-3, so he's only got 1 win in 6 regular season games. And Kruger said the pressure's got to be building on the head coach. 2nd and 3 at the 46. Cobb, the only one in the backfield once again. Testaverde on the play action to a wide open tight end. It's complete for a first down. It goes to Ed Thomas. Second year out of Houston.
One of the most effective weapons that the Tampa Bay offense has is getting Testaverde on what we call a counter bootleg. It's a naked bootleg. He's just rolling back. The tight end does a little slip block, acts like he's going to block, then releases out into the flat. Testaverde's very, very good at this play.
So another first down for Testaverde. He is the 16th ranked quarterback in the NFL after the first 3 weeks with only 2 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions over the first 3. Hill goes in motion. Delay to Anderson. Stumbling his way up the middle. He still gets 2 up to the 40-yard line. Bill starting out, Dan, in that 3-4 without Bruce Smith, of course.
Well, I think Buffalo knows that Tampa Bay is going to try to pound them. Here they double on the nose tackle, trying to get a seam there. Anderson slipping on this turf. We had a little shower earlier. Didn't have the footing that he needed to go ahead and hit it up in there hard, but Buffalo knows they're going to be checked out early.
Rains came and hit about 30 minutes before the opening kickoff, but now it'll dry out in a hurry. It's almost like a steam bath down on the playing surface. 2nd and 8. The ball at the 40-yard line. Anderson weaving his way, won't get out of the backfield. The first one knifing through was Cornelius Bennett. And he is coming off a superb game. Owner Ralph Wilson said after the game against the Jets last week, he thought it was one of the best games by a linebacker he has ever seen. And that comes from an original owner in the AFL.
Well, you know, Bruce Smith is the acknowledged leader of this Buffalo defense, but now that he's hurt, I think we're seeing Cornelius Bennett become the bell cow. He's playing better and better every week. He knows there's a lot of pressure on him to play well, and he's responding.
Bucks 26th in the league in third down conversions at only 23%. And a stingy number on the other side for Buffalo at 26%. Testaverde has a man. It's complete. And it's good for a first down. Lawrence Dawsey, the rookie from Florida State.
Darryl Talley came on a blitz that time, almost got to Testaverde. On the left of your screen, you'll see Talley coming around the corner. Conlon coming on an outside blitz there on the right side, right in Testaverde's face, able to get the ball off. They had a lot of problems giving up quarterback pressures and sacks the last 2 weeks, Joel, and they started a couple of new guys on the offensive line. He's getting a lot better protection so far. 1st and 10, the ball at the 31-yard line. His drive started back at the Buccaneers' own 27. Testaverde did not like what he saw when he came up to the line. Leading that back into the secondary. Number 1.
He's used the Bucks' first time out. So 2 remaining in the first half for Tampa Bay. An impressive start, though, offensively for the Buccaneers. They've got a first down when we return.
League is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By Kentucky Fried Chicken, nobody's cooking like today's KFC. By Liberty Mutual, we're our customers' advocate at Liberty Mutual because we understand the costs involved. And by Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now.
James Williams, they're icing up the left knee, unfortunately. The starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, doubtful whether he'll be able to return or not. And a 1st and 10 for the Buccaneers. Gary Anderson going wide. And Leonard Smith forcing him out of bounds after a gain of only a yard. Very warm, steamy conditions. We asked Marv Levy if he thought it would be a factor going into the game. He said, you know, I remember when I was the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. We had all these days of 90 plus, almost 100 degrees every day. We were getting ready for a game against the Los Angeles Raiders. They came into town from cool Southern California, and did they ever do a number on us? And we thought that they would be the ones that wouldn't be able to adjust to the heat, but we were worn out by the end of the game. In Buffalo all week, the Bills practiced in low 60-degree temperatures. 2nd and 9 from the 30. Play action for Testaverde. He's yet to be sacked. Going down the sideline for his wideout, Mark Carrier. Pretty decent protection once again for a quarterback that has been sacked 16 times already. Vinny Testaverde. It's the Schick Tracer 10-minute ticker. And a final score, the Giants beating their former defensive coach, Bill Belichick. By 3, the Giants over the Browns. Miami wins by that same margin. The Eagles knocked off the Steelers, who fall to 2-2. A 9-point win for the Eagles and Jim McMahon. New England losing by 3 at home after leading most of the way, leading early 17-6. And Washington winning once again. 3rd and 9, the dime package in the secondary. Testaverde out of the shotgun. Bennett comes. He's got him. That is his 17th sack given up by Tampa Bay over the first 3+ games.
Testaverde had enough time there. That is not the offensive line's fault. Last week he said, hey, I had decent protection, but a couple of times I didn't get rid of the ball. That is what happened there. Testaverde did not find the hot receiver and get the ball off. He had to go ahead and eat it. Bennett gets the sack.
Mark Royals in for his first punt of the afternoon. Al Edwards waiting back for the Bills at the 10-yard line. And Royals almost lost his job. Having a real tough start. They brought in Brian Wagner. They brought in Don Bracken. Took a look this past weekend on a couple of different punters. This one a very short one off the side of his foot. Going out of bounds inside the 20 of the Bills. And they'll spot it at the 16-yard line. So when we come back, the #1 offense in the NFL gets the ball for the first time today with no score at Tampa Stadium. Along with Dan Hampton, the Bills, the #1 offense in the league. Averaging 470+ yards per game. Has it for the first time and bottled up out of the backfield. Fumbling the ball, it's loose. And Tampa Bay gets it. The running back, Carwell Gardner, coughed it up, and it looks like McCants has it. Yes, a turnover early.
Well, that's what Floyd Peters wants from Keith McCants. He's playing defensive end for the first time in his career. He wants him to make big plays. He's number 52. On that angle there, you'll see him knife down from the outside, stripping the ball from Gardner. McCants has that type of athletic ability. Here he just closes down unblocked. Big play.
He told us yesterday, Dan, he wasn't in love with the idea of going to a downline position. But they needed to finally get some pressure on the quarterback. Go to that 4-3 alignment. So an early turnover. The Buccaneers operating at the 17 of the Bills. 1st and 10. 9.5 minutes left in the first 15 minutes of play with no score. Anderson wrapped up in the backfield. Darryl Talley slicing through. And a loss. Back to the 21.
You'll see Talley just run through the left guard, making his first start. Bruin pulls out. Talley just runs through the hole. The fullback has got to take Talley on that play. It's an if block. If the guy runs through, you've got to block him if you're the fullback.
Penetration on the offensive line of the Buccaneers, a problem over the first 3 weeks over their last 35 games. Buccaneers 10-4 when rushing for 100+ yards, but 1-20 when failing to gain 100 yards. They averaged 98 a game over the first 3. Play action, Testaverde. Breaking the containment, down for Hall, and it's batted away. He wanted Hall on the sideline, a good idea. Leonard Smith on the coverage.
Leonard Smith is showing up very early today, but I don't know if that wasn't... He was draped over him pretty good. The thing that has killed Tampa Bay is penalties and sacks. One way to avoid that is get Testaverde out of the pocket on the same boot action that he made a big play a few minutes ago. Normally makes that kind of catch. Well, he's playing with some cracked ribs. Last week he took just an awful shot. It's amazing he's even out there today.
4 wide receivers in the alignment now on 3rd and just about 15. A little more than 14. Out of the shotgun, Testaverde has to hurry and throws it behind Bruce Hill. Well, that's what happens when you've already been sacked 17 times over the first 3+ games.
Well, you get a little gun shy. Not only that, but anytime the Bucs get inside the 20, they seem to blow a fuse. They've been inside the 20 now 8 times this year, and they've only scored 1 touchdown.
Vinny has missed his last 3 after hitting his first 2. He's now 2 of 5 for 26 yards. Christie, 6 of 8 so far this season. Second year out of William & Mary. It'll be a 39-yard try, spotted at the 29-yard line by the punter Mark Royals. It's on its way and doesn't have a chance. It's batted at the line, and it looked like Kirby Jackson got in. So a big play by the special teams, the Buffalo Bills, and the Bucs, after getting the ball 1st and 10 at the Bills 17, come up with no points.
Well, you'll see Jackson turning the corner here, coming around. The rookie Wilson, the fullback, number 20, lets Jackson around the corner.
It may have been actually hitting the back of the lineman, Ian Beckles. So nothing doing for the Bucs. They can't capitalize on the big turnover. Will be he hit his own lineman.
Well, it looks like his plant foot, his left foot here, slips right on contact, right there. There's so much force that you have to put on that plant foot to swing that leg powerfully. Just slipped.
Thurman Thomas, his first carry of the day, across the 20 to the 24-yard line. Offensive line, very experienced group, especially on the left side, Wolford and Richard. And in the backfield, Thomas and Gardner. Lofton and Reed, the wideouts. Keith McKellar up the middle. It's Gardner. And he gets only a yard going over the top of the pile. Carwell Gardner in his second year from Louisville, a second-round draft choice last year. They wanted to touch the ball again. Get his confidence back after that early fumble. The no huddle for the Buffalo Bills. This is what they were prepared for, the Buccaneers. Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 5. Kelly with time. A wide out. When they get the back, Gardner. He breaks the tackle, still on his feet down the sideline. Gardner on his feet inside the 40. What an effort inside the 30. Wayne Haddix finally caught up with Carwell Gardner. There is a flag down, though.
But, Joe, you talk about something that'll make you forget making a fumble or a mistake. A run like that, sure to do it. But it looks like they are going to bring it back. It's an awesome run.
Now they're saying he was out of bounds. Out of bounds at the 36-yard line with the first down. Did he go out?
Well, you'll see he spins off of the blow of the linebacker, but it's hard to tell from here.
Thurman Thomas, nothing doing there. No gain on the carry on 1st and 10. Just across that original line, the 36-yard line. Thurman Thomas in his 4th year from Oklahoma State.
He's the key guy. The Bucs have got to concentrate on Thurman Thomas.
Wide receiver Beebe dropped it. And he was working on Haddix, who has really been worked over the last couple of weeks, the cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It should have been a first down in the hands of Don Beebe.
Well, Floyd Peters thinks that his defense is very well prepared for this because all week I said, did you huddle? I mean, what did you do to get ready? He said, we didn't even look at each other. We didn't even get in a group. We just lined up and played defenses. We used hand signals, and we feel like we're very well prepared. It's really, Joel, this is just a hurry-up offense for 60 minutes.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 10. Kelly going for the bundle with James Lofton. What a grab by Lofton. Inside the 25 to the 23. Second on the NFL's all-time list in yardage. James Lofton comes up big. He was the man in the spotlight last week, catching a 4th down late in the game against the Jets.
You'll see Lofton on the outside here just run by the cornerback. Lofton, he's older than I am, Joel, and he's still able to turn and run past these NFL corners. He's an incredible athlete. Easily one of the greatest receivers to ever play the game. He continually amazes me.
From the 23, Thurman Thomas wrapped up. Tim Newton on the tackle. Signed as a free agent last year after spending his first 5 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, Floyd Peters likes Newton. He thinks that he's a perfect nose guard for his defense. Now, in this defense, you'll have 2 defensive ends and then a guy that flops back and forth, but the nose tackle, Newton, is the key. If he can control the inside running game, the outside guys can go.
Beebe gets away from his man. Did he get in? No. Bumped out of bounds just inside the 1. Looked like once again they were working on Wayne Haddix, number 45. He's been victimized over the last couple of games.
You'll see Beebe just go and turn and run a little hitch pattern. That's what they try to do. A lot of defenses play a soft zone and they throw the ball.
Eligible, 74 eligible.
Announcing that Glenn Parker is coming in as an eligible.
As I was saying, they try to throw the ball underneath the linebackers, and these little receivers are very nifty. They hit seams and run.
Gardner over the top, touchdown Buffalo. An 80-yard drive. And in that drive, 72 of the yards coming through the air. As Jim Kelly hit 3 of 4. Well, that's one way to bounce back from an early fumble. Carwell Gardner with the score.
It does not take these guys long to move down the field, Joe. This is an awesome machine they put together. Gardner just following his lead blocker, going over the top.
Scott Norwood in for the extra point. He has 14 of 14 in that department this year. Back to the stadium where the Bills lost the Super Bowl last year to the New York Giants. And an early 7-point lead on the touchdown run of the second-year man from Louisville. 5 minutes, 33 seconds left in the first 15 minutes of play. And an opportunity for us to check the Schick Tracer 10-minute ticker. An impressive drive by the Buffalo Bills. After they fumbled it on their first possession. Giants by 3. Miami winning by the same score after trailing early 13-6 to Green Bay. Philadelphia, the surprise in the NFC East. New England, there's the shocker so far. New England beats the Houston Oilers, handing the Oilers their first loss of the season. Washington by 7 at Cincinnati, while the Raiders lose on the road at Atlanta. And an impressive start, a 4-0 start for the New Orleans Saints, shutting out a very good Minnesota Vikings squad. While Detroit tops Indianapolis, they're now 0-4. And in the late starts this afternoon, San Francisco and Kansas City, a couple of field goals there for early leads. San Diego and Denver tied at 3. Hardy and Anderson back deep, waiting for the kickoff. Deloiso. And it's interesting, when we were talking to Jim Kelly, now here's Floyd Peters are worried about the no huddle. A lot of people may not realize that when the Buffalo Bills practice, they practice with conventional offense. They don't work out of the no huddle in practice.
Oh, that shocked me, Joe. I thought for sure they would run the same type of practice schedule that they run in the game. I mean, just line up and spread everyone out. It's a scary thing to have to worry about stopping this offense. And Peters told us, you'll see Floyd there, he thinks that this team is so close to being a really good football team. All they need is confidence. And, you know, confidence comes from being successful. And success comes from being disciplined. There are a couple of plays where they broke down. They weren't disciplined. They let Lawson get behind them. Little things like that play on your mind. And as the game wears on, you start questioning some of the schemes and the other personnel that you have. I think Tampa Bay needs to take the ball down and score to stay in this thing. Otherwise, they're going to get a way out of it.
7-0 Buffalo lead. A little better than 5.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Hardy and Anderson, the two waiting for the kickoff. And Deloiso really gets into this one. There won't be a return. Anderson 8 yards into the end zone. Will stay right there. That's why they brought in the former UCLA kicker. And he's done the job. 6 long kickoffs last week against the New York Jets. And an effective one there. That's Testaverde. And the offense back onto the field. Well, all they need is a little more offense. They lost their first game to the Jets by 3. Their second game right here at home to the Bears by 1. And then last week blew a 13-5 lead with 3 minutes and 59 seconds left in the contest to Green Bay last week, losing 15-13. So 3 games and 3 losses by a total of 6 points. Anderson and Wilson in the backfield. The pitch on the misdirection. Anderson coming back towards us. To the 24-yard line for a gain of 4. Mike getting out there to help out with the stop.
Well, Tampa, they look like they really want to be able to run the ball on the outside corners of this Buffalo defense. You know, Bruce Smith is a big part of it. But the thing is, they think that they're a little bit soft out there on the edges of this defense. Wilson, the big fullback, on Cornelius Bennett or Darryl Talley is a pretty good matchup. They think that they can block those outside linebackers and get 5 and 7 yards at a crack. Here, they got 5 on that one.
2nd and 6, the 24-yard line. Gary Anderson again, nothing doing. And he is knocked out by Darryl Talley. And a bit of an altercation behind the play. Nothing developing there. A gain of 2. So it'll bring up 3rd and 4. Well, they wanted to mimic the New York Jets last week, when the Jets had 388 yards of total offense, with 168 coming on the ground. As the Jets, and it was almost eerie for Buffalo Bill fans, the Jets had the ball for over 40 minutes, while the Bills had it for a little bit better than 19 minutes, almost the identical numbers in the Super Bowl in time of possession. Well, I want to remind Buffalo fans, a positive going into the game, Whitney Houston did not sing the national anthem, nor was there a tape of Whitney Houston before the start of the game singing the national anthem. That's what they heard last week in the game against the Jets. 3rd and 4. And off the hands of Bruce Hill, a little bit high, and also Leonard Smith coming into the picture had something to do with it.
Testaverde has got to make those real easy little pitches like that count. He can't have mistakes. On the long passes, sometimes it's a lot harder to get the ball where you have to put it. But on a little flip pass like this, he has got to be able to throw the ball into the receiver's number. Way too high. Really wasn't under pressure. That's just a bad throw by Vinny.
And over the middle, you can't afford to stretch out your receiver. Mark Royals ready for his second punt of the day. First one only traveled 24 yards. He's got plenty of time. Low line drive spiral. Al Edwards bobbling at the 33. Good return by Edwards across the 40, giving Buffalo superb field position to start their next drive with a 7-point lead. As when they put it back into play, they'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 43. 10-minute ticker. Giants winning. Also Miami by 3 points. Philadelphia now at 3-1. Steelers fall to 2-2. New England with their first win of the year. For head coach Dick McPherson, Washington a 4-0 record. And New Orleans, that may be a surprise because of the margin of victory for the Saints. As Indianapolis, the Ron Meyer watch continues. They lose to Detroit. 1st and 10, the 43-yard line. Plenty of time for Kelly to find his man over the middle. Andre Reed, in his 100th career game for the Buffalo Bills, has a first down to the 40-yard line.
Buffalo loves crossing patterns. What they try to do is run an option pattern here with Reed just swimming the cornerback, getting over in the middle with those, underneath those linebackers. And that's the thing. Just like Beebe was able to turn it up and make a big run a few minutes ago, they like to get those guys under.
Thurman Thomas trying to bounce to the outside. Put down after a gain of only a couple. And Broderick Thomas told us yesterday he feels very strongly about the defensive unit. He feels he's an outstanding linebacker. He's got that kind of confidence in himself. The first-round pick in '89, 6th player taken overall out of Nebraska.
I think we're going to see him rush the passer a little bit today, but he has got to play well.
Over the middle, it's complete to Reed for another first down inside the 20. And he knew he was going to take a hit once he went up for it.
Everyone talks about these Buffalo receivers being very nifty and fast, but they're also very tough. You'll see Reed coming into just a swarm of Buccaneers. He is a great, great player.
He knew he was going to take the pop from the free safety Frizzell, but held on for his second reception of the drive. Thomas down to the 16, close to the 15. Gain of 3 on the carry. Newton in on that stop. So they took their last possession. 80 yards for his score, as Newton is an injured Buccaneer on the field. 2 minutes, 8 seconds left in the first quarter. A 7-0 Bills lead is. They look strong at the outset. Buccaneers defense slowed them down by taking the ball away. Gardner on that first series, but they have not been able to stop them ever since. It's the #1 offense in the NFL as they average 474 yards a game, 147, almost 148 on the ground, 327 through the air. Next Sunday, following Ryder Cup golf, NBC presents more great NFL action. It all starts with NFL Live at a special time of 3:30 Eastern. And many of you will see Steve DeBerg and the Kansas City Chiefs facing division rival San Diego. Others, a big AFC East showdown. Dan Marino, the Dolphins, taking on the Jets. Or the Colts. What game we'll see. Dan will be out there, the Colts and the Seahawks. That all comes up right after the Ryder Cup. You can witness all the drama and that emotion of great golf tradition. Can the USA finally take it back from Europe? Have the match in '89 after setbacks in '85 and '87. Can they wrestle the cup away from Europe? It'll all come your way from Kiawah Highlands, South Carolina, the Ryder Cup next weekend on NBC. Second down, just about 8. Kelly buying time. He's got plenty of it in the end zone. A man intercepted. He wanted locked, and it picked off by Tony Covington, the rookie from Virginia. Second turnover already for Buffalo.
That is a wonderful interception by Covington here. Kelly facing a little bit of a blitz. He tries to go deep into the end zone. Covington just comes back across underneath the receiver. Lofton just go ahead and throw him on the ground. But Kelly did not see Covington because a linebacker had him screened off of his vision. Covington in the right place at the right time.
That is the first, or make it the second interception this year. for Tony Covington. And now the Buffalo Bills, they were a plus 14 in the plus-minus ratio last year. They're now a -5. 3 games and a quarter into this season. Cobb, the only one in the backfield. Double tight end set. Cobb banging his way. 5 yards to the 25. We may see more of that double tight end set for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, if they want to be able to run against this front, they've got to have big bodies on big bodies. Buffalo has outstanding linebackers, and you're not going to block those guys with running backs, receivers, that type of thing. You've got to have big bodies on them. Walt Corey, he says, we're just trying to get by until we get Jeff Wright and Bruce Smith back. He knows that Tampa Bay is going to check out the underbelly of this Buffalo defense.
Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. 2nd and 5 from the 25. Thomas going in motion. Cobb. He is popped going up the middle. He paid for that 4-yard carry. And Shane Conlon, the one delivering the blow. The inside linebacker in his 5th year from Penn State.
You'll watch a little bit of the interior line play. They got Bennett coming up the nose there. He gets rode by out of the play by the center. Cobb just falls back into the hole vacated by Bennett for a good gain. For almost a first down. It'll be 3rd and inches here, Joel.
Can they finally convert? They've had so many problems on 3rd downs this year. 26th in the NFL, hitting only 23% of their 3rd down tries this season. Up the middle, Reggie Cobb's got the first down. Out across the 32-yard line. And more importantly right now, for the Buccaneers, they keep the Bills offense on the sideline.
Well, the Buck defense has been out there quite a bit already in the first quarter. But with this running game going, they're going to get a good breather.
That's the end of the first quarter of play. A 7-0 lead for Buffalo. As we'll be right back to Tampa Stadium.
Yesterday without Bruce Smith, now we bring a sandbox on the sideline and we start scribbling in it. And a little bit later, we'll give you some insight into what has developed over the last few days for Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator of the Bills, and how frustrating it has been at times. 1st and 10 for the Buccaneers at the 32. Give the up man, Robert Wilson. Good surge by the offensive line. And he's up to the 38-yard line for a gain of 5. Can they hang on to the ball? That is going to be the key. As Dan Pike, a defensive lineman, unfortunately is down for the Buffalo Bills right now. That's the worst position for them to suffer an injury, of course. They only come into the game with 4 down linemen. 11 yards on the ground for the Bills, but 109 through the air.
Well, more importantly, I think this is going to force Buffalo to go into that defense where they only play 2 down linemen just out of necessity. Walt Corey's got to be saying, what did I do to deserve this?
It's called the Sikkim defense, with Mike Lotish down along with Leon Seals. As first we'll look at the basic 3-4. And now this is actually the 3-4 with the 2 outside linebackers coming up on the line. That's the basic 3-4. Dan, now here's the Sikkim.
Well, what they have here is just the 2 big guys, the 2 defensive tackles playing over the guards. Talley on the right, Bennett on the left, 2 stronger linebackers up there playing like a defensive end. But the thing is, those guys are standing up, and they're 230 pounds against 300-pound offensive tackles. It's such a mismatch. I mean, you can fall for 5 and 7 yards every time they line up in it. But the thing is, they wanted to come out in this conventional front, have 3 big people in there. Now it looks like they're going to have to go to the defense with only 2 big guys playing.
Well, things have been headed south on the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills. The only healthy one they've got backing up now is Odell Haggins. They lost Phil Hansen last week. Ian Smith are the 2 inactives this week. Now Pike is hurt. 5th year out of Georgia Tech. In his first career start in 54 games. Fortunately, though, it looks like he's okay. But that forces their hand into that Sikkim alignment.
And not only that, but with this heat, Buddy Ryan used to say all the time, the hardest job in football is rushing the passer. I think Tampa Bay will probably be in this thing late in the game, and the heat's going to be a factor. They don't have anyone to rotate in there with those big defensive linemen trying to rush the passer every time, because it looks better. He's moving around, but this is going to be one of the worst things that could happen to Buffalo.
And they will stay with the 3-4. They won't go with the 2-5. You saw big number 93, Haggins, coming into the game. He's 6'2", 280 pounds. 2nd and 5. The ball at the Bucs' 38-yard line. Cobb Can't get out of the backfield. Shane Conlon, the inside linebacker, making the play.
The good thing about a 3-4 defense is if you've got big, active linebackers like Buffalo has, you can let those guys run. Conlon, right in the middle of your screen there, chasing down Cobb. He is one of those linebackers that is always around the ball. And a lot of times you can hide him in that 3-4 where you can't get an offensive blocker on him. You can just run sideline to sideline and make plays.
5 defensive backs in now. It's Henry Jones, the rookie from Illinois. So it's the nickel, not the dime right now for the Bills. On 3rd and a little bit more than 4. Hill, the motion man. Here comes the pressure up the middle. It was Haggins, and it's underthrown. Odell Haggins, the freshman who just came into the game in the face of Vinny Testaverde.
Well, Testaverde has talked about how he needs to have protection. Here, Haggins coming right up the middle. Wilson, the fullback, in there just to protect on blitz pickup, doesn't get his block. Vinny's the kind of guy that if he gets off to a quick start, he can really play great. But if he gets off to a shaky start, he starts questioning things and starts holding the ball and making some bad decisions.
And now Testaverde has missed his last 5 in a row. Royals again punting to Al Edwards. Back inside his own 30 for the Bills, who lead it by 7. And another soft wobbler, returnable type for Al Edwards. And he barely tripped up, crossing the 35. Tiggle, the reserve linebacker. So when we return, Buffalo with a 7-point lead has it 1st and 10 at their own 38-yard line. Seconds left in the first half. Joel Myers, Dan Hampton at Tampa Stadium, a 7-0 Buffalo Bill lead. They've got it back 1st and 10, their own 37-yard line. Jim Kelly this afternoon, 5 of 7, 109 yards. But he has thrown 1 interception. The Bills have also fumbled the ball away the first time they touched it. Misdirection for Thurman Thomas, following his blockers effectively. All the way up to the 45-yard line. Ball stripped away, but too late by Ricky Reynolds. It'll bring up 2nd and short. Boy, did he just ride the back of his blockers.
Well, this is the thing about a great running back. This is what they call the counter OT. They got the guard on and right tackle pulling back across. Big 75. Fowler, he just follows him through. You see he has his hand on his back, almost like hiding behind him.
2nd and a couple. Thurman Thomas for the first down and then some into Bucs territory at the Tampa 49-yard line.
Keith McCants, playing defensive end at about 260 pounds, is having his hands full with Wolford, the very fine left tackle for Buffalo. He's been knocked off the ball about 5 yards, 2 plays in a row, Joe.
And as you can see over the 3 possessions, the first 3, they're their own worst enemy, the Buffalo Bills. Kelly with time and James Lofton over the middle. Lofton breaking tackles. The 30-yard line. Being out away from Harry Hamilton, the strong safety.
Well, Lofton's a big receiver. He's 195 pounds, just running a deep crossing pattern, going into the middle where the safeties are dropped into a deep zone. He almost breaks this thing. Those big receivers, they don't mind going in there because they can put a hurt on a safety just as well as the safety hurts them.
Thurman Thomas run down by Broderick Thomas from behind. Right at the 30-yard line on 1st and 10. It's a gain of only a yard. Very quick pursuit from the opposite side by Broderick Thomas.
Well, Floyd Peters thinks that Thomas could possibly be his bell cow. He thinks that he's a kid that comes out of a great program at Alabama, has a winning attitude, and it kills him not to be on a winning team.
Kelly looking and pulling it back as the Bucs have a sack. Coming through, Reuben Davis. 4th year from North Carolina.
Now Kelly's still down.
There are a couple of Bucs there, Davis and McCants.
He looks to be okay. You'll see Reuben Davis just splitting a double team there. That's a great pass rush. McCants coming around on the outside. Davis, number 79. He knows that he's got to get to Kelly to have a chance at stopping this offense. You've got to force him into making mistakes.
First sack for Tampa Bay. Brings up a 3rd and long for Buffalo. 3rd and 18. Back at the 39-yard line. Out of the shotgun, plenty of time for Kelly. And overshoots Al Edwards. Haddix had fallen down. And the cornerback for the pass a little bit too high.
Kelly may be a little groggy from that shot he just took from Reuben Davis. Threw the ball too high. That could have been a score because Haddix had slipped down would have been no one to try to tackle him. You'll see Haddix, the field still a little bit slippery there. Kelly throwing the ball high.
Chris Moore in for his first punt of the afternoon. Willie Drury waiting back at his own 10-yard line. And Moore, a former Buccaneer, coming back to Tampa Stadium. Very high one down the middle. Buck staying away from the ball. Will it make it to the end zone? Yes, just barely. Well, Steve Tasker, one of the very best in the NFL on special teams, almost got down there, but he was headed to the sideline. He thought the ball was going to come towards the near sideline. It headed back to the middle. And a break for Tampa Bay as they'll have it down by 7.
Coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light, it doesn't get any better than this. By Canon Bubble Jet Personal Printers, laser quality at dot matrix prices. And by Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
The big news in Tampa this week, a couple of changes on the offensive line. Charles McGray getting his first start, big number 70. Class of 91 out of Tennessee, the first-round draft choice. Class of 88, Tennessee, John Bruin, the left guard. Richard Williamson said they really didn't have all that much to lose, giving up 16 sacks over the first 3 weeks and picking up only 74 yards on the ground last week at Green Bay as Gary Anderson is stopped for no gain. Great pursuit down the line by that Bills defensive unit.
On that play there, we're talking about big Charles McCray, the first-round draft pick. He is huge. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. Joel, he's a load with good feet, but you'll see here, he has a problem trying to hook Patton, the outside linebacker. Patton just stuffs him and shuffles out. It'll take him a little bit of time to work on his fundamentals, but they really like him and Paul Gruber at the other tackle. They think they got fine bookends. Now they need to fill the shell.
And now the Bills in that second defense with only 2 down linemen and 5 linebackers. Testaverde over the middle. His man's there. It's complete. Carrier's got it outside the 40 for a first down.
Every time we came to Tampa Bay, when I played for the Bears, we always worried about Carrier. We thought he was one of the top 3 or 4 receivers in the league. Super quick, fearless. Here he catches the ball, slams on the brakes, busts back outside, slips a little bit, but he is a very, very scary guy.
Testaverde losing it and now throwing it away. Will it be grounding? No. That play broke up as soon as he took the snap from his center. It looked like he wanted to go to the wideout immediately, but it never developed.
I'm not sure what happened here. It looks like Testaverde just had the ball slip out of his hands. Then he more or less threw it away. They don't call that grounding unless he's under a threat of being sacked. There, he just wisely got rid of it.
Checking the late scores on the ITT 10-minute ticker. Rams with a 4-point lead over the 49ers. Kansas City up by 10 now, while San Diego is looking for their first win of the year. 2nd and 10. The ball outside of the Bucs' 42-yard line. Pressure up the middle, and Testaverde underthrows his man, Lawrence Dawsey. Bennett was the pressure in the face of Testaverde.
Bennett lines up all over the field for Buffalo. Here he comes on a blitz right up the gut. Hits Testaverde, forcing an errant throw. Bennett coming up the middle here. And that's the thing about Bennett. He's so athletic. He can play inside, outside. He can rush the passer. Here, Testaverde getting a little shot in the rib cage there. Bennett's not one of those guys you want hitting on you too much.
3 wide receivers setting up. Out of the shotgun, Testaverde on 3rd and 10. Pressure again. He pulls away from it and buys some time. Bennett after him, and Bennett runs him down from behind. Way short of the first down. Well, Vinny Testaverde is not going to remind you of Steve Young.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have to laugh. It looks like Sills, the big left end, forced Vinny up into the pocket. Then Vinny does his best Ichabod Crane impersonation here. Sills just running by McCray, the right tackle. Then we watch Vinny. I saw a cartoon once with a flamingo running. It kind of reminded me of it, Joel.
Royals punting again to Al Edwards. This time he turns it over the head of Al Edwards. And it'll go to the end zones for the net. impressive as the punt actually looked. The net yardage. After the 56-yarder by Royals, the Bills have it 1st and 10 at their own 20. 9.5 minutes left in the first half, and they have been working regularly on Wayne Haddix. He went to the Pro Bowl after missing all of 1989. Went to the Pro Bowl following last season as Kelly is throwing on first down. It's complete to Keith McKellar, but a short yardage situation only up to the 23-yard line. But Haddix missed all of the preseason until the final game he came back, and they say that it has really hurt him missing the entire preseason, holding out. He got a 2-year contract for $1 million, but already today we've seen them go to work on number 45. 2nd and 7, flags into the air, and a dead ball foul coming up. You'd have to think on Kelly and the Bills.
Well, it looked like one of the offensive linemen pulled out a little bit early. They're talking about Haddix.
Ball start. 67 offense, 5 yards, still 2nd down.
It's on the center, Kent Hull.
We're talking about Haddix. We're seeing Glenn Rogers come in and play an awful lot for him. So Haddix has not been able to get the rust off after that holdout.
7 interceptions last year, 3 going for touchdowns. It's been a different story over the first 3, though, for Wayne Haddix this year. Second from just about a dozen. Haddix with a big cushion out on Don Beebe, and Beebe catching it in front of Wayne Haddix. He gave Beebe about 5-6 yards.
But Don Beebe is a very interesting story. 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh, he caught 4 touchdown passes. Now, you look at him, he doesn't look like an NFL wide receiver just to look at him, but he is a rocket. Very, very fast, and those cornerbacks are staying off of him, giving that quick 7-yard hits all day.
74 eligible.
The coaches say he's the quickest on the team. Don Beebe with the reception, and now 3rd and short. Bills 2 of 3 in 3rd down conversion. It's 3rd and less than a yard. Over the top, Gardner has the 1st down. Carwell Gardner with the 1st down. He's also got the only touchdown of the day for the Buffalo Bills on a 1-yard plunge over the top. Coming into the game, a 3-yard average. You won't see it all that often. You've got a Thurman Thomas in the backfield, and with good reason. Thomas, the single set now as Kelly will operate out of the shotgun. 1st and 10 outside of the 31, delay to Thurman Thomas. And the Bucs stayed at home up the middle. Out to the 33, Reuben Davis wrapping up the running back.
You think about Buffalo's offense, and you're thinking about them throwing the ball an awful lot, but Thomas rushes the ball an awful lot of the time, and he's one of those guys that will get 100 yards passing and rushing all the time.
Kelly on 2nd down. Over the middle, Beebe's got it, and Beebe's got a 1st down. Working on Tony Covington on the opposite side. It's out to the 49-yard line. Doesn't take long, does it?
They go right up and down. I'll tell you what, the guys running the chains on the sidelines are going to get a workout today with this Buffalo offense. They go up and down the field.
I thought it was very interesting when Marv Levy told us yesterday, the more no-huddle we run, the less offense we need. They don't put in that many plays, believe it or not, for Jim Kelly. Because I was referring to John Elway calling his own plays. That's on 1st and 10. Thurman Thomas with 4 down to the 47-yard line.
Well, a lot of the time, the receivers will run an option pattern or just an uncover route. Knowing they're going to see a lot of zones in this 2-minute type offense, they just go out and find a hole, and Kelly gets the ball to him. It's not real complicated. It's just execution, and Buffalo does it better than anyone.
2nd and 6. All day for Jim Kelly. Looking for James Lofton behind Haddix, and just barely overthrown. Lofton turned around a little bit and maybe gave up a little bit early.
Well, we got an awful lot of wind here, and maybe the ball got hung up, Joel, but I think Lofton could have got to that ball if he would have kept his head down and ran by Haddix there. You'll see he'll pull up just a little bit here, trying to adjust to the ball. Now he tries to stretch forward. It's just a little bit overthrown. Probably the wind.
3rd and 6 from the 47. Kelly on the out. It's complete. Tasker's got it inside the 30. They use everybody in this offense. Steve Tasker in his 7th year out of Northwestern.
Well, Ricky Reynolds, the left cornerback, tries to make a play here. It's actually Glenn Rogers here trying to make a play, number 21. That's the thing. Kelly has such a strong gun. A lot of times you're going to get burned when you try to go for the interception. You can see the ball from awfully hard.
The play clock to 30 seconds. 30 seconds on the play clock.
Gordon McCarter, the referee today. Jim Kelly now. He's hit better than 70% of his passes over the first 3 weeks. He's already 10 of 14 today. 169 yards. The only blemish, that interception in the end zone picked off by Tony Covington. They need to get more pressure. Floyd Peters has always been known as a defensive coordinator that comes in the silver rush attack. When he was with Don Coryell in St. Louis, they had a good pass rush there for one of the few times in the history of the Cardinals, but always has gone to that 4-down lineman alignment to get pressure. Kelly over the middle, and just barely out of the hands of Al Edwards. He got a pop from Harry Hamilton.
Well, that is what this defense is based on, is pressure. Here they drop back in the zone, and then he gets a pop here from a Harry Hamilton that they'll check out your dental arrangements. That's the thing. They like to get pressure, and then they like to come up and attack the receivers.
Reuben Davis, the injured Buccaneer, down on the playing surface. We'll find out his situation when we come back to Reuben Davis, and unfortunately Davis paid for it at the end of the play, Dan.
Well, it looks like he hyperextended his elbow. He doesn't like that, and Kelly didn't like that pass either.
Red Hall, the rookie in there from Cal, coming in for Davis. Kelly on 2nd and 10 has Lofton for a first down. Working on the rookie, Tony Covington, a 4th-round draft pick out of Virginia.
When this offense is clicking, it is something beautiful to watch. How are you going to slow down that type of pattern? There's no way. Lofton just goes and runs an 11-yard square out. Kelly fires the ball with good protection. How are you going to slow it down?
Thurman Thomas can't get to the outside. The linebacker, Jesse Solomon, up with McCants. And Jesse Solomon just coming over this week. A 6th-round draft choice. A trade with New England, bringing Solomon here. Longtime member of the Vikings, then the Cowboys. And don't forget at halftime, the Domino Pizza NFL Live halftime report with Bob Costas, Will McDonough, and O.J. Simpson. 2nd and long over the middle, just out of the reach of BB. And for those of you that missed the NFL Live pregame show today, some of the topics that were discussed, Jim McMahon, Dan Hampton talking about McMahon. If only they could take a warranty out on Jim McMahon, as McMahon felt that they were more talented, the Eagles, now than the '85 championship team from Chicago. NFL scoring, well, they dropped the concerns of the NFL. They actually concern the NFL because offensively they are down into the end zone, and the receiver tied up. He wanted to go to Andre Reed, but he got all tangled up with Ricky Reynolds.
Reynolds did a good job getting a jam on him, slowing him down, disturbing the timing. Now, you can only hit the receiver within 5 yards. Here he forces Andre Reed so wide that he can't get back into that quick seam route. Good job by the Bucs defense, slowing down the Bills, forcing a field goal attempt.
It'll be a 36-yard try for Scott Norwood. His first field goal try since missing that 47-yarder with 4 seconds to go in the Super Bowl. And this one drifts wide right. Memories of the Super Bowl matchup with the Giants. And Scott told us he has forgotten all about it. It's a new season. He's been concentrating over the last 3 weeks on each individual game.
Well, he may have put it out of his mind, but I don't know if he's going to put that one out of his mind. That's got to start to haunt him here. On a short field goal, a lot of times the kickers won't go ahead and finish the swing with their leg. They'll just try to pop it through the upright. A lot of times they leave it out.
And the noise you hear in the background as Norwood pushes it wide outside of the upright is for Chris Chandler, the backup quarterback coming in his 4th year from Washington. He came over from the Colts before last season in exchange for a 1st-round draft choice. It's a disappointment for Norwood and an exciting moment for Chris Chandler getting the opportunity. Reggie Cobb tripped up coming out of the backfield out of the 24-yard line for a gain of 4. 53% completion ratio in his career. With 11 touchdowns with 21 interceptions. She worked with the Indianapolis Colts his first couple of seasons. Had 13 starts back in '88 with the Colts. And no way that Testaverde could have anticipated an early hook in the first half with 4:20 remaining and a 7-0 Buffalo lead.
Cobb, the only one in the backfield, gets it. Sliding to the outside. Across the 25. Out to the 28. Well, Testaverde has really had problems moving this team in the first half. There's no doubt about that. He's only 3 of 10 for 38 yards. Came in as the 16th ranked quarterback in the NFL with only 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions over the first 3 weeks. And well, they talked about the sack stand. Many felt that he was his own worst enemy at times, that he didn't get rid of it quickly enough.
Well, sacks and mistakes. Not getting rid of the ball, throwing it high, throwing it into the ground, little things like that. But the thing about Vinny, if he gets off fast, he's very effective. But if he gets off slowly, Coach Williamson knows he better get him out now and give Chandler a chance.
3rd and 3. And they finally convert on 3rd down. Chandler with pressure has a man open. It's Bruce Hill.
Leon Seals unloaded on Chandler. Wake up call.
Ooh, that'll get you involved in a hurry. Bruce Hill on the reception.
Here you'll see he looks to the right, sees his man's double, then right into the teeth of a blitz. Hill, a fine receiver, getting outside on a quick square out.
1st and 10. The ball at the 33 of Tampa. Cobb again the single set. So they go with a 2 tight end formation. Cobb banged down. Shane Conlon almost took him on the run. What a head start for the linebacker.
Well, for Buffalo to stay active in this defense, they've got the 3-4 set right now. As long as they can keep a linebacker uncovered, you'll see Conlon on the left of your screen run through here. There's no one to account for him. The lead blocker, Wilson, is out leading on the edge. Conlon is untouched. If he doesn't make that play, he needs to get another job. But that's just one of the faults of this Tampa Bay scheme. Sometimes you've got to be your own blocker. There was a no gain.
2nd and 10, still at the 33-yard line. And we have reached the 2-minute warning at Tampa Stadium. Buccaneers have had problems scoring over the first 3 weeks of the season, and it continues in week number 4 as they're down by 7 to the Buffalo Bills.
Inside, your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions...
In the field at Tampa Stadium. They have said he has been slightly injured. I think his confidence has been shattered more than any major injury, as you could see. The offense has never developed so far for the Buccaneers.
Well, I think the only thing hurt is his feelings. I don't know what to think of that. It's just that it looks like Williamson's going to put his eggs in Chandler's basket now.
2nd and 10. Exactly 2 minutes left in the half. The ball at the 33 of the Bucs. And the right tackle, Charles McCray, making his first career start, getting a little bit anxious.
Also, it could be Lodish, the nose tackle, making contact.
Ball start, 70 offense. 5 yards,
Yeah.
still 2nd down.
It was McCray pulling back.
If there is a team that has somewhat of a mini jinx over the Buffalo Bills, and I say mini because the series between the two teams is not all that long, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the most penalized team in the NFL yardage-wise with 252, 27 infractions over the first 3 weeks. Tampa Bay has a 4-game winning streak against Buffalo coming into the game. They beat them most recently in '88 and also in '86. Out of the backfield, Robert Wilson. And he gets to the 34, so it'll still bring up 3rd and 10.
We're talking about those penalties, Joel. I mean, that's nothing more than discipline. You have to be disciplined to play this game. Sure, if you've got great ability, that comes in pretty handy at times. But you've got to be disciplined. And a young team like this is struggling. They can't kill themselves. And then inadvertently, that's all they've done to themselves is cut their arms and the head off and everything else.
We have received word now that it's a foot injury to Vinny Testaverde. 3rd and 10, Chandler on the out, throwing behind his wide receiver, Hill. Outside of the 39, well short of the first down. So the Bills will get it back with an opportunity to put more points on the board, leading by 7 with 1:23 left in the first half. The Buccaneers, though, since 1985, are 2-17 against AFC teams. Those only 2 wins coming against the Buffalo Bills, believe it or not. And you talked about penalties. Richard Williamson told us that
That is the one thing that has embarrassed him the most over the first 3 weeks of the season. Those mistakes, the penalty flags. Royals may not have a job long with more punts like that. They had punters in here earlier this week. Al Edwards scooting across the 20 and getting out of bounds at the 23. So Kelly has moved the ball well today, but they just haven't had that many opportunities to punch it in.
Well, I think a lot of that, Joel, is the Buck defense has got a couple of turnovers, and then they forced Buffalo into a couple of mistakes. Kelly getting sacked, stopping a drive. That's the type of thing you have to do to Buffalo. You've got to throw them off kilter. You can't just let them sit there and pound away, throwing the ball, running the ball. You've got to force them into making a few bad plays and getting them in a hole.
Kelly threw his 5th interception of the season early in the first half. He's got 10 touchdowns over the first 3+ games. And now out of the shotgun, 1st and 10 with flags in the air and penalty coming up against the offense.
False start. 84 offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
Keith McKellar. And that is only the 2nd flag of the game, and both flags going against Buffalo, surprisingly. So 27 flags over the first 3 weeks. The Bucs yet to pick up a foul. Make it 1st and 15 now. Back at the 18-yard line. 3 wide receivers set up for Jim Kelly with Thomas in the backfield. And plenty of time for Kelly over the middle. Andre Reed takes it and keeps on going. Took a pop from Covington and kept on flying down the middle.
Well, the way you have to stop this pattern is the safeties more or less have to try to annihilate the receivers. It's not pretty, but that's the only way you can do it. There, Covington takes the brunt of the force. Andre Reed, big, strong, physical receiver. On these seam patterns, those safeties have got to turn and act like a torpedo, trying to annihilate that receiver, and next time make him think about that.
An injury is a charged timeout. That is Tampa's 2nd timeout.
Tampa uses their 2nd due to the injury to Tony Covington. Remember, 3 timeouts remaining for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, you see Andre Reed catching the ball, and then here, Covington kind of gets bent backwards. Now, Joel, that could not be good for the neck or back area. Oh.
And he is a corner that came off his man, Harry Hamilton. The safety was simply too deep.
Well, that's the thing about this offense. It'll scare you to death. If the safety starts getting deeper, the corners start getting deeper, then you give up all those underneath routes. But in this seam, you'll see Covington come here. He doesn't really get himself settled where he can plant and attack the ball carrier there with a good flow. And unfortunately, he gets bent backwards.
Covington's original assignment on the sideline was James Lofton, but he was watching the quarterback's eyes, so he comes over to help out. While Harry Hamilton is still about 6-7 yards behind the play, the safety. That's the safety's job down the middle.
Exactly. But Covington makes a good play coming off of his man, trying to help out. Doesn't get rewarded for it.
The young man who had the interception in the end zone to stop a Bills drive. Fortunately, under his own power on his way to the sideline. Coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report with Bob Costas, Will McDonough, and O.J. Simpson. Debating on interconference play and all those scores and highlights. Week number 4 of the season. Well, for the Buccaneers to have any kind of a chance today, they had to be able to run the ball effectively and keep Buffalo off the field. They're very fortunate right now to be down by only 7. The Bills have fumbled the ball away and also thrown 1 interception. Easily, Buffalo could be up by a good 17 points instead of only 7. It's now a first down for the Bills at midfield. Surprised we have not seen more of the 2 tight end alignment for the Buccaneers. 3 timeouts remaining for Kelly, who's in trouble and on his way down. 2nd sack for Tampa Bay, and it's Dexter Manley. He was cut by the Cardinals during the preseason. Had some choice words for their general manager, Larry Wilson, and ended up in Tampa.
Well, you'll see Manley coming up the middle here on a stunt. Manley still able to rush the passer. Floyd Peters got him to give some help to keep McCaskey right in.
And it's dropped by Lofton on 2nd and long.
Second and better than 20.
Kelly doesn't look as sharp as he did in the opening moments of the game, but he's getting a couple of shots here and there. That'll kind of shake your cookie bag up.
And we just saw those signals from Floyd Peters now. Floyd Peters told us there's no huddle defensively this week. Everybody on the defensive unit is watching the sideline for signals. Third and over 20 yards. The reception, it's good to Beebe. Does he get to the first down marker? It'll depend upon the spot. Just inside the 40-yard line.
I don't believe so, Joe.
Timeout for the Bills. They've got 2 left.
42nd timeout.
And Kelly hobbling a little bit on that right side.
Well, we're going to take a look here, see what Kelly sees. He sees it's just a big, a soft zone. He throws it to Beebe underneath. Now he's running down to try to get everybody in position. Then he realizes he didn't get the first down. Go ahead and stop the clock.
Buffalo is rescinding their request. No timeout charge.
No timeout charge to the Bills. So get the offense back onto the field in a hurry with 36 seconds left. So Buffalo still with 3 timeouts remaining. Better than 55,000 on hand at Tampa Stadium. Very warm and muggy conditions. And you would think that with a hurry-up offense, it would really have an effect on a defensive unit, especially in this type of weather. Do they have it by the nose of the football? Looks like they're just an inch short. So 4th and an inch. Can't get much closer. A 7-0 Buffalo lead.
Well, there's 36 seconds left in the half. Got to think Kelly thinks he can throw the ball into the end zone at least one time.
He's got to get that inch first, though, on 4th down.
If he does, go ahead and pick up the other downs.
Butch roll in front of Carwell Gardner. It'll depend upon the spot. And the linesman came racing in right on the 40-yard line. They did not get a favorable spot on the lines from the linesman on the far side. They may be short. They may have failed to convert on 4th down.
Well, I think he may have gotten it, but with the spot, he didn't. He put the spot just barely over the 40-yard line. He needed to get about halfway to the 39.
Marv, I don't disagree with you. Gardner's surge looked like he got him close to the 39. Memories of 88.
On the field, we ruled he did not make the first down. The play is being reviewed.
So memories of 88 because the Bills had a chance to win here in 88 when they lost 10-5. There's another opportunity to see it, but they were stopped on 4th down inside the 5-yard line.
Now, it looks to me like he was at least almost to the 39-yard line, but with the spot being where they...
After review, the play stands as ruled. First down, Tampa Bay.
It's just hard to say, but either way, it was a great surge by the Buccaneer defensive front.
Very active Steve Tasker over on the sideline. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line.
You know, I don't know about that review, Joel. How can they review something like a spot?
Going deep and overthrows Lawrence Dawsey. Well, that is not a possession call. It's not like it was.
It's not. I'm sure that's why they said that the play stands, because there's no way they could reverse the spot. I mean, that is something that, I mean, it's just a judgment call on the official. He spots the ball. There should be no question about it. Wherever he says the ball is, that's where it'll have to stay.
23 seconds left in the first half. The Bucs with 1 timeout remaining. And now the replay official has told us they can review a spot, but it was inconclusive on that call. So the play stands on the field. Chandler with time. And now will they stop the clock? On 3rd and just about 9.
Well, Joe, you'll have to think it there. The scrambling's not going to get anything accomplished. Chandler needs to go ahead and plant and throw the ball on a sideline pattern or something.
Tampa Bay, 3rd and last.
So the Bucs use their final timeout. It took them about 10 seconds to decide whether or not they wanted to do it.
But if you've joined us late, Chandler's in there after a very ineffective start by Vinny Testaverde. And he left the field with a foot injury. You couldn't tell from the way he walked off the field. But right now, Tampa fortunate to be down by only 7 points. And right now, Buffalo doing a pretty good imitation of Tampa, moving the ball well between the two 20s. It seems like Tampa, over their first 4 weeks, has not been able to do well inside the red zone, inside the 20s. Ted Marchibroda, the offensive coordinator, discussing what's going to develop for Jim Kelly. But they have worked on the corners very effectively for 15 and 20-yard completions. But a fumble and an interception, costly for the Bills, and then that failed 4th down conversion. Now they've put 3 seconds back on the clock. So a chance for one play possibly, and the receiver's got to hurry to the sideline. Chandler buying time, moving the pocket, but he won't get away from Cornelius Bennett. That'll be the final play.
It looks like Cornelius thinks the half's over. It's not. Come back, Cornelius.
And Buffalo wants to make Tampa punt the ball.
I don't think the heat's going to affect Cornelius too much.
Buffalo, number 1, 40-second timeout.
Playing down in Alabama. Folks, this is something that you very seldom see. A 3-man rush. There's 6 guys protecting the 5 offensive linemen, and then Ron Hall, the big tight end, in there. 3 guys on 6. Everyone's double teamed. And yet, Bennett gets a sack. This is a rarity. Bennett on Chandler like drool on a baby there. Great play for Cornelius.
Second sack for Bennett.
But in all honesty, that was a coverage sack. The Buffalo secondary doing a great job of making Chandler eat the ball.
Also a sad situation, though, because it wasn't like he had a ton of time in the backfield. He moved the pocket. But when you've got 3 on 6, like you said, you should be able to get rid of the ball. So now with 5 seconds to go, instead of punting it, they'll try one more pass play on 4th down. The old tip drill. If he can get rid of the ball this time. And through the hands of Leonard Smith. Going for Bruce Hill. So a sluggish first half for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensively, and the Buffalo Bills basically controlling the line of scrimmage, but only leading by 7. So a 7-0 halftime lead for the Buffalo Bills. And coming up next, our Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime activities. We'll join Bob Costas, Will McDonough, and O.J. Simpson. We'll be right back to Tampa Stadium with the Bills by 7.
Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, Bob Costas back with Will McDonough and O.J. Simpson. We'll hear from each of them in a moment, but first let's start this segment with a rundown of some of the highlights from the games concluded earlier today. We begin at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. A rude welcome back for the former Giant assistant Bill Belichick, now the head coach of the Browns, knocked on his keister by Mark Ingram. He got up, he was fine. Rodney Hampton had a fine day for the Giants, 102 yards rushing, most of it in the first half, including this 28-yard touchdown scamper. Giants led 13-0 at the half, survived 3 lost fumbles, held on to win 13-10. Both clubs are 2-2. Jim McMahon's Eagles are 3-1 in the absence of Randall Cunningham. This is the touchdown that gave them the lead for good today at home against the Steelers. They had trailed 14-13 at the half. Robert Drummond's TD put Rich Kotite's team ahead, and they go on to win 23-14. The shocker of the day, Jack Pardee's Oilers, about a 2-touchdown favorite at Foxborough. They come in with a record of 3-0. Hadn't trailed in a game all year. They were clinging to a 20-17 lead with 15 seconds to play. Pat's just trying to get in field goal range when Greg McMurtry made the catch and did much more than give them a shot at the field goal. He vaults over a potential tackler, outraces the others 34 yards for the shocking game-winning touchdown. Pats pull the upset of the year so far, 24-20. Jerry Glanville ready to take on the world, including the officials in Atlanta, but he was smiling at the final gun. Chris Miller threw 2 touchdown passes for the Falcons, including this one to a fully outstretched Michael Haynes that covered 46 yards, and it's a mild upset. The Falcons on their home field beat the Raiders 21-17. A tremendous day for Barry Sanders at the Hoosier Dome today. Colts think they got him, think again. He spins away. He changes directions. And 20 yards from the goal line, Rodney Peete already knows it's over. Look at the Lion quarterback. He signals for the touchdown, and it is one of 2 scored today by Sanders. He had 30 carries for 179 yards. In 34 career NFL games, he's crossed the goal line 30 times, and he outplayed Eric Dickerson today for sure. Dickerson had a career-low 17 yards, though he did score 2 touchdowns, one on a pass reception, the other on a 2-yard run, and even the 17 yards were enough to push him past Franco Harris and into 4th place on the all-time rushing list. But Ron Meyer's Colts are now 0-4, while Wayne Font's Lions, after an opening loss, are 3-1, and you have to worry about the job security of Ron Meyer with the Indianapolis Colts. Other scores from earlier today: Miami beats Green Bay, and it's significant because it's career win number 300 for one of the greatest coaches ever, Don Shula. There he is. They dumped the bucket of Gatorade on his head. Big smile for Shula, beaming from ear to ear. His team evens its season record at 2-2. Career win number 300. Only the Papa Bear, George Halas, is ahead of him on the all-time list. Halas had 325. Shula still enjoys coaching, still very healthy and robust at age 61. Great chance to overtake Halas for number 1 on the all-time list. The Redskins had a 27-10 lead in the second half at Cincinnati. The Bengals rallied to tie the game at 27, but then Gerald Riggs' 3rd TD of the game, a 7-yard run in the 4th quarter, won it for the Redskins, 34-27. Washington is 4-0, and the Bengals are 0-4. And how about this one? New Orleans, for the first time in their history, 4-0 for the year, a 26-0 shellacking of the Vikings at the Superdome, and all week long, their top man, Jim Finks, was saying, hey, the Vikings have our number.
Well, actually, that's a setup, Bob. What happened is this, you know, Jim Finks, the general manager, has been needling Jim Mora, the head coach, ever since he saw that game on the schedule. Say, every time we played Minnesota, lately they've killed us. Our team always folds against them. So Tuesday, Mora said to Finks, when you go out and give your speech today, will you say the same thing? I want my players to see that. And Finks did all week long, and they responded today with a shutout and a great effort.
Responded to the tune of 26-zip. Now on to the scores of some games in progress. The one you're watching, Buffalo, with the 7-0 halftime lead at Tampa Bay. Vinny Testaverde goes out with the injured foot, and we await the word on the x-rays. Marv Levy's Bills unable to get themselves on track offensively except for some brief moments. James Lofton will make a tremendous catch for a 41-yard gain off the pass from Jim Kelly. It set up the Carwell-Gardner touchdown 3 plays later from the 1-yard line, and Buffalo has to be content with the 7-0 lead at the half. Chiefs?
And that's scoring a lot of points with Marv Levy's big concern has to be the defense. He has 2 starters out now, Wright and Bruce Smith. And today, James Williams went down with a knee injury. We don't know how serious it is, but it could be bad news for the Bills.
Quickly, as if we haven't been moving quickly enough through the rest of the scores. At Candlestick, the Rams and the 49ers are tied at halftime, 10 apiece. At Arrowhead, Kansas City, in a battle of 1 and 2 teams. Now it moves to the 3rd quarter. They lead Seattle 10-0. Halftime at Mile High Stadium, San Diego and Denver even up at 6 apiece. Baseball, the Pirates made it official. They win the National League East for the 2nd straight year. They beat the Phillies today to clinch it 2-1. The Red Sox could have done themselves a whole lot of good. They had a 5-4 lead in the 9th inning at Fenway Park. The Yankees tied it in the 9th, won it 7-5 in the 10th. So instead of moving at least temporarily into a first-place tie for the moment, the Red Sox are a game back of Toronto in the American League East, pending the outcome of the Blue Jays game tonight in Oakland. And the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead in the 5th inning at home over Atlanta. Ramon Martinez thus far working on the shutout, and he also hit a home run for the Dodgers, who lead Atlanta by half a game in the National League West, looking to increase that advantage with a 3-0 lead in the 5th. We take a break here, and we come back with a look at the comparative strengths of the AFC and the NFC. That's after this break and a word from your local station.
Halftime report brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, welcome back, folks. And today is an interesting day in the NFL for those who have been following the relative strengths of the 2 conferences. There were 8 interconference games on the schedule this week, including 6 of the early games. The NFC won 5 of those 6 head-to-head matchups today early. The only AFC winner thus far, Miami, which beat Green Bay for Don Shula's 300th. The NFC, therefore, now has an 11-3 advantage in crossover games in 1991. Last year, the 2 conferences split the 52 meetings. More importantly, the NFC has won the last 7 Super Bowls. We asked some of our NBC analysts for their opinions on the interconference rivalry.
When I came into the league in 1978, I recall a Sports Illustrated cover in which the title was, "The Rivalry Has Become a Rout." During the 70s, the AFC dominated the NFC in Super Bowls 8-2. During the 80s, that trend was reversed, with the NFC dominating the AFC by a like score. What is going to happen in the 90s, I really don't know, because as far as I can see in football, when you go from running quarterbacks to quarterbacks in the pocket, from big backs to small backs, from tall receivers to short receivers, things are cyclical. And what is going to happen in the 90s, only Kreskin or Gene Dixon knows for sure.
At this point in the season, apparently the NFC has a slight edge. My estimate is, by the time it's over, both conferences will have comparable victories. It also could be that at the lower end of the conferences, the NFC may have an edge. But my feeling is the two best teams in the NFL today are Buffalo and Houston. They can take on anybody, and I think one of the two, could very well be the Super Bowl champions.
Well, a lot of fans think that whoever wins the Super Bowl or the Pro Bowl, well, that is a dominant conference. But as a player, it doesn't go like that. I think what we judge the dominance of either conference on is the fact and the record that they have when they play each other during the regular season. So even though all games count as a win, if you can beat the other conference, I think it's just a little extra incentive to go out and do it.
Quite naturally, I've been impressed with the start of the Houston Oilers, and I also know the Buffalo Bills are going to be there throughout the year. But I think the cast of characters in the NFC goes a little deeper this year. The good start by New Orleans, Minnesota playing well. I think Atlanta will be improved, Detroit 2-1. I think the NFC is still a little stronger.
Well, Walsh and Parcells recorded their comments before the kickoffs today, and Houston stubbed its toe big time in Foxborough. The Oilers may still turn out to be a force to be reckoned with, but today they lost to the Patriots.
Well, I think the accurate part of this whole thing, Bob, is nobody's been dominant. 21 years the two conferences have played each other. The AFC has won 12 times, NFC only 4 with 5 ties.
That's season series.
That's season series, a regular season, playing one another. And even in the decade of the 80s, when the NFC won all those Super Bowls, the AFC had the edge in regular season play. So I think, if anything, the parity is here.
And I think that's what people are more influenced by, is who wins the Super Bowl. And as he says, in the 70s, we're looking at those great Pittsburgh teams and of course, Miami Dolphins early. And in the 80s, here comes the 49ers, the Washington Redskins, and the Giants. So it's only one or two teams that can dominate the Super Bowl in a decade. And I expect, as we go into the 90s, Buffalo Bills will be one of those teams dominating the Super Bowl in the 90s.
Another unbiased O.J. Simpson insight. Of course, in the 70s and through the early 80s, the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Raiders dominated for the AFC in Super Bowl competition, with the NFC breaking through only a few times. Now, no AFC team has won it all since the Raiders beat the Redskins in January of 1984 in the Super Bowl. 7 straight wins for the NFC. Time for us to step aside, and we continue at halftime after this break.
Buffalo. And welcome back to Tampa Stadium. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton, updating the Keystone halftime stats. It was owned by Buffalo offensively, 252 total yards, 220 through the air, Dan, but no balance for the Buffalo Bills. And you don't see that often with Thurman Thomas in the backfield, not much rushing yardage.
Well, I thought Thurman Thomas would be a big part of the Bills' offense. So far, Tampa Bay's been able to take him out of the game, and that's part of the plan. They want to do that.
Thurman Thomas with 13 catches last week against the Jets to tie a Buffalo team record. Flags are ready. And Thomas starts the second half, the only one in the backfield.
69 offense, 5 yards.
On Will Wolford, who went to the Pro Bowl last year in his 6th year from Vanderbilt.
Well, up till now, the Buck defense has played pretty darn well. They forced Buffalo into a couple of turnovers, but you know, that's the thing about Buffalo. They're a big play offense. 2 big plays, and they get the touchdown practically. Other than that, the Bucs have played pretty good.
1st and 15 for the Bills to start the second half. Thomas. And he was rattled. The linebacker came over, Jesse Solomon. That gets him after a gain of a little bit more than 2. Well, Vinny Testaverde sprained his foot in the first 30 minutes of play and injured Bill down to the field. And that's
played pretty good.
1st and 15 for the Bills to start the second half. Thomas. And he was rattled. The linebacker came over, Jesse Solomon. That gets him after a gain of a little bit more than 2. Well, Vinny Testaverde sprained his foot in the first 30 minutes of play and injured Bill down to the field. And that's the offensive lineman, John Davis. This looks like the play. where Testaverde was hurt.
Well, on this sack here, it looks like Seals falls on his ankle. In all honesty, I didn't see that. I don't know how bad Vinny's leg is, but I didn't see that injury. He got up and played on. Now, the right guard, John Davis, is down.
They're working on his. He's pointing to the left side. And we've got a timeout on the field. 19 seconds into the second half. An injury for Buffalo as they lead by 7.
Is brought to you by Subaru. It's what to drive. By Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old, get into the cold. By ITT Corporation. Building people's dreams. And by Hertz. We never forget who made us #1. We're Hertz. We're America's wheels.
Tough last play for right guard John Davis. His own man got him, and now I can understand why he's pointed to his left knee and lower leg area. Right before we broke away, Dan, it was his center that caught him from behind.
Well, you'll see Davis, the right guard, firing out in a zone block where the offensive line just make a surge and block anyone in their zone. Here you see Ken Hull, right across the back of his left leg. Ugh. Not good.
Vinny Testaverde has just come back onto the field, and now they have diagnosed it as a toe injury, as Chandler will continue at quarterback. After a slow start, to say the least, today for Vinny. And less than 100 yards of offense for the Buccaneers in the first 30 minutes of play. Kelly throwing on 2nd and long, and it should have been intercepted by Covington. It was thrown behind Lofton, who was turning towards the sideline. It came back to the inside. I think it surprised Covington as much as Lofton.
Well, that was an option screen here. Offensive lineman hit a quick pass set, and if the receiver downfield is open, well, Kelly will go ahead and throw it down there. Lofton uncovered pretty quickly, but Covington trying for the interception. Like you said, looked like it surprised him.
Big third down early for the Bucs defense. 3rd and 13. Plenty of time for Jim Kelly. And overshoots his man. Haddock's almost had it. Got in front of Don Beebe. Pass was too high for both.
You know, I cannot believe Kelly is throwing the ball so poorly. You know, he's really got a great arm, but we've seen him throw the ball high on a number of occasions. That last play, throwing it behind the receiver. Kelly's not very sharp today. It may be that shot that he took from Leon Shields early in the game. He just may have shook him up a little bit.
Chris Moore had 1 punt in the first half. Bucs 6th-round draft choice in '89. And Willie Drury waiting back. The Buccaneers 43. Tampa Bay only down by 7. Moore with plenty of time hangs up a high one. Drury calling for the fair catch and a flag down to the play. He takes it in at the 47-yard line.
It looked like somebody clipped Steve Tasker, their special teams ace, was down there covering, and it looks like somebody actually made him do a cartwheel. They clipped him so hard.
It's been a tough week for defensive coordinator Walt Corey. And in talking with Walt yesterday, we had some fun, and, well, he's seen some stupid questions. The top 5 this week: do you miss Bruce Smith? The number 4, will you install toll booths where defensive ends used to line up? The number 3, will you do anything different without Bruce Smith? The second dumbest, how do you stop runs without Bruce Smith? And the number 1 stupid question for Walt Corey this week: without Bruce Smith, where will you be coaching next week?
You know, he's got a great personality, and, you know, he's had so many injuries in the defensive line, and, of course, you know, everyone knows how dominant a player Bruce Smith is. He makes everyone around him so much better. But he says, hey, like he said, we're just out there scratching our head trying to get people in the way.
Yeah, Walt mentioned, you hate to say it, but we're a better than average defense without Bruce. But he brings everybody up to that next level when he's in there. Gary Anderson the carry. Anderson dumped down at the 40-yard line, a gain of only 3.
On that last play, Buffalo went to the Sikkim defense. Now, that's really a 2nd and 3rd and long type of defense. Like I said, the heat and the fatigue may be wearing them down. You'll only see the 2 big defensive linemen inside. You can see Ron Hall doing a great job on Talley, sealing him allowing Anderson to get some pretty good yardage around the corner. Like we talked about, those linebackers aren't nearly as strong against the run as a big defensive end.
And Cornelius Bennett, who had 9 tackles, who was all over the place last week against the Jets, in on that stop. As it's second, a little less than 8, close to 7. Ball to the 40-yard line of the Buccaneers. Pressure, Bennett coming, and they can't get it underway. It looked like they wanted to go outside to Anderson on the screen.
That's what it was. It was a screen, but Chandler didn't have enough time to set it up properly and had to more or less heave a little duck out there to Anderson. But the pressure will make you do that. Here you'll see Bennett coming right up the gut. That's, you know, Tony Mayberry is a pretty good center. He's a young guy, but he's got to be able to pick up that kind of a blitz. The Bucs doing a pretty good job up front, but on a blitz like that, I mean, the center has got to be able to account for him. Slow him down enough to get Chandler time to get the ball out to the back on the screen.
Bucs 3 of 9 in third down conversions. Not a sparkly number, but better than what they've done over the first 3 weeks.
They're coming.
On the outside, as Chandler steps up, underthrows the man Anderson, who makes a fine grab, but short of the first down at the 44-yard line.
Well, we talked about the Buck offensive line, how they, on the last play, Mayberry, the center, let Bennett up right up the gut. Here they do a great job picking up a 6-man rush. You'll see Conlon coming there. Hall staying in the backfield to protect Chandler. The quarterback does a great job. Number 82, the tight end. He is the one that's supposed to account for the 5th or 6th rusher. There, they did it perfectly. Didn't get the ball downfield far enough for a first down, though.
Nate Odoms back deep, not Al Edwards. And as finally Royals gets into one. Taking it back inside his 10 at the 5. Odoms getting a block, but only as he fumbles the ball. It's recovered by the Bills at the 14-yard line. It looks like Kirby Jackson, number 47, alertly pouncing on it. And yes, Buffalo has it. So when we come back, another hole to start their second series offensively in the second half for Buffalo, leading by only 7.
A car is a car. It won't make you
to demonstrate
the defense now is not allowed
what the defensive lineman can get away with. He was working with Keith Willis, the lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He always wants to relate to those players.
Kobe, you're gonna hurt me.
Well, Paul is better now. And welcome back to Tampa Stadium. Joel Myers with Dan Hampton. Paul, get back there with Marv soon. We're looking forward to seeing you back on the NFL circuit. I know you have thoughts on those head slaps.
Yeah, they look pretty good. But, you know, Paul, I think I can help you a little bit. Some of those blows weren't quite vicious enough. I'll be glad to go over that with you sometime when you get back.
The first delivery from Kelly, wide of the intended target. He was looking for Andre Reed. Dan, now, I thought that helmet was a little bit too large on Paul. I think we need to, first of all, get him a smaller helmet to start with. And what else can we do to help? I mean, Keith Willis has decent technique, but it can be improved upon. What can we do on that?
Oh, lots of blows to the head, Paul. That's what we have to have.
Thurman Thomas bouncing outside. And catching up with him. Jesse Solomon. What a start it's been for Jesse Solomon. This is an interesting story. Coming over. Now, Jesse Solomon from a panhandle town. Madison, Florida. He left high school without a scholarship. Went on to junior college. Then he won a scholarship as a walk-on at Florida State. He got into Bobby Bowden's doghouse his senior season for the Seminoles, though. He had to prove something. He wasn't taken until the 12th round with the Minnesota Vikings. He still had problems. Went down to Dallas. Then he held out. And now he finds himself back at home in Florida. And it's thrown behind Killer McKellar. Keith McKellar, the tight end, on 3rd and short. It'll go back to the Buccaneers as Roderick Thomas was bearing down to the quarterback.
Well, that right there is what is the great part about Solomon coming to the Bucs. Roderick Thomas, a fine linebacker in coverage, but he's really a guy that you want to send on the blitz. Now, Solomon is great at covering a back out of the backfield, so that enables you to get, you know, a good guy rushing the passer and a good guy covering, something that Tampa didn't have.
And the one who delivered the big blow on Kelly there was Ray Seals, the end. Drury waiting back for the punt. He's at his own 35. Spinning and a flag down, and so is Drury at the 40-yard line. Jim Kelly has missed his last 4 attempts. With 11:41 left in the third quarter, the Buccaneers are ready to get it back, but the penalty is going to push them further back.
Well, I don't know what it is. Kelly just does not look as sharp as he did in the opening quarter. You know, he moved the ball so well then, and now it looks like he's throwing behind people, throwing over. The pressure's getting to him a little bit more. It looks like the Buccaneers are getting stronger.
Number 36, receiving team.
Called on Robert Hardy.
But it may possibly be the fatigue. You know, this stuff, it doesn't always get you, but pretty soon your mind wanders for along. You start worrying more about the heat than the opponent.
Brightly in Tampa, the Buccaneers fans making some noise. They're down by only 7 and getting the ball back. 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line. Chris Chandler continues at quarterback. The former Washington Husky sending Bruce Hill in motion. They're trying to slip Gary Anderson outside. He's run down by the linebacker. What a big-time play. Carlton Bailey. You look at the way things have broken down in play selection today so far, Dan, as that's a loss of a couple of yards for Gary Anderson so far this year for the Buccaneers. 61% through the air, 43% through the air today, and 57% on the ground as opposed to 39% before Buffalo.
Well, you know, a lot of times you make a game plan and something happens and you get away from it. Tampa is doing exactly what they told us they wanted to do and what we talked about at the opening. Try to control the clock. They had it almost 18 minutes to 12 minutes for Buffalo in the first half. They're eating the clock up here in the third quarter.
Following a loss of a yard. Chandler outside. It's complete to Robert Wilson, dragging the defensive back for a couple of extra yards. That's Leonard Smith. Up to the 34. Still short of the first down, though, by 6 yards.
Tampa likes Wilson. They think they've got a finder here. He's a 250-pound fullback, and a guy like that, I mean, you got to figure he can really develop into a great blocker. There he shows he can do a little catching and running, too, but he's really the guy they want leading Anderson and Cobb up inside on all these plays.
Hurts 10-minute ticker. Denver by 4. A tight one in Kansas City as well, and San Francisco by only 3 over the Rams in the third quarter. Late starts, week number 4 of the NFL season. Crucial third down early in the second half. They are 3 of 10 in third down conversions. 3rd and 6. Chandler going out to the wideout, who's got it and drops it. Carrier holds on, and he's down the sideline with a flag down in the play, though. He beat Kirby Jackson. And Jackson, I believe, just stretched out and tried to grab him.
Well, a lot of times in a play like that, you've got to think the receiver will catch the ball and score. So as a defensive back, Chandler on a 6-man rush, Bennett hits him, he gets the ball off, but the thing is, here, if the cornerback feels he's going to be beat, a lot of times he'll just try to get something, try to stop the receiver so the defense can regroup and fight again.
And it actually turns out to be a good play if you think he's going to take it all the way.
Exactly. It's a lot better to get a penalty and give him 30 yards than it is 6.
So it's a 1st and 10 for the Bucs. At the Bills 43, so one of their biggest plays offensively comes by way of the penalty flag. Kirby Jackson.
It didn't look like it was that bad of an infraction. Jackson looked to be looking back at the ball. I don't know about that call there.
Play action to Reggie Cobb. Chandler with time over the middle of man. It's complete to the tight end, Ed Thomas.
Chandler's doing a lot of good things here in this drive. Here he makes a nice fake to the fullback, then comes back, avoids a little bit of the pressure, and fires a strike into his tight end Thomas.
It's a first down inside the 26 of the Bills. Tampa Bay looking for their first points of the day.
The thing is, they're moving so well. Can they avoid the sacks and penalties now when they get down here inside the red zone?
Anderson out of the backfield. Long count. Going deep over the middle and overthrowing his wide open tight end Ed Thomas. He got behind the linebacker Shane Conlon. So he had the inside backer working on the tight end.
A lot of times you don't have a guy run as fast as he normally would in a game in practice, and sometimes you have to be the starting quarterback to get some of these timing patterns down. There, Chandler overestimated the speed of his tight end. Fine throw by Chandler, and throwing it where the receiver was in the only place he could get the ball and make the defensive back make the mistake.
Didn't look like much contact by Kirby Jackson. Anderson, Wilson in the backfield. He's throwing for the touchdown. Has a man. Thomas, touchdown. Tampa Bay, no. He dropped the ball. It was there.
Buffalo is going on the offensive here, bringing 6 and 7 every time. And Chandler
Shot to the chops.
takes a corner blitz.
Nate Odoms.
He never saw the receiver drop the ball. That was a fine throw. It was. Oh, they're getting close, Joe. Tampa's showing an awful lot of confidence in what they're trying to do offensively here. Just a little out of his reach.
Ed Thomas has got to make that catch, though.
Exactly.
Second and goal from the 1. Cobb over the top. He's in. Touchdown, Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, an extra point away from tying it up. Christie with the extra point, and it is all even in Tampa with flags down on the play.
Holding, 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, free kick.
You don't see it too often. It was called on Gerald Nichols. They'll have to try it again. So Steve Christie a little further back now as they move it back to the 13-yard line. It'll be like a 30-yard try, like a 30-yard field goal attempt for Christie. He has yet to miss an extra point this year. And he is still perfect. He is 5 for 5. So a 70-yard drive. A nice mix of run and pass. And Reggie Cobb culminates it with a 1-yard plunge.
Cobb, a big, strong running back, just pounds right up inside there. And you know Buffalo is getting very tired. They're giving up the inside.
The second-round draft choice, Reggie Cobb from last season, celebrates this season for the Buccaneers. Let's go to Bob Costas in NFL Live.
All right, Joel, Denver could be on their way to a third win in 4 tries. Here's Gaston Green. Just moments ago, he went 5 yards for the TD. Another delayed handoff. He bursts through the hole and sprints 63 yards for this one. They lead the 0-3 Chargers 20-12 in the 4th at Mile High.
They are making some noise, Bob, at Tampa Stadium. The last time the Buccaneers played at home, they lost by a point to the Chicago Bears. And they're making noise with a backup quarterback in there, Jeff Chandler. The former Washington Husky in his 4th year. A 3rd-round pick back in '88 for the Indianapolis Colts. Hal Edwards back deep with Eddie Fuller waiting for Christie's kickoff. 6:51 left in the 3rd. And with the wind at his back, Christie booms it away again. He must feel like he's playing in Denver. They better cover that baby. And finally, Edwards does.
Joel, on that last drive by Tampa Bay, it ate up almost 5 minutes. That's what they wanted to do. But more importantly, they scored a touchdown to tie the game. That has to give Chandler an awful lot of confidence.
Are the Buffalo Bills allergic to the natural stuff? Since '84, on grass surfaces, a 5-18 record. They're in a dogfight now because they did not capitalize on all those offensive opportunities in the first 30 minutes of play. They only scored 7. This is their 3rd possession of the second half. Jim Kelly 0 for his last 4 in the passing department. Thomas the only one in the backfield. Thomas has it and doesn't go far. 3 up to the 23. Updating those scores, week number 4. We look now at the Hertz 10-minute ticker. The 4 o'clock starts. San Francisco clinging to an advantage over the Rams. Kansas City by 10 at home, looking for their 2nd win of the year. As Bob Costas just mentioned, Denver hoping to go 3-1. Over the middle, wide open Thurman Thomas. I'm surprised they haven't looked for the little dump off more often after he caught 13 balls last week against the Jets. That's a 1st down for the Bills.
Well, if you notice what Buffalo's doing now, they're trying to go ahead and get some of the crossing patterns working again, trying to maybe soften up the Buck defense, but the Bucks they're playing pretty well against the run right now.
Plenty of time for Kelly over the middle of the tight end. It's complete, and what a grab it was by Keith McKellar. The whistle blew. That's why they let go of him at the 40-yard line. He caught it in traffic, though.
Kelly able to force it in there a little bit. But this is what Buffalo wants to do. They want to throw all these little dump passes, crossing patterns, throw underneath the zone, and when the linebackers start worrying more about that, then they can run Thomas between the tackles outside and get some good yardage. They're going back to kind of square one here and get things going again.
The reverse for Andre Reed, and is it ever set up? If they get the block on Haddock, they did. Down the sideline, Reed goes, still on his feet. He could go all the way, and Kelly made a nice block as well. Losing the ball. Is it recovered in bounds? Is it Tampa's ball? Did he get it before it rolled out of bounds? Did he have possession?
It looks like they're going to say he did not have possession.
It looks like we're going upstairs. It looks very reviewable.
This could go up to the guys in the closet with the TV.
It goes for 49 yards.
What a great run, though.
Let's find out from Gordon McCarter.
The fumble went forward and out of bounds. It was recovered with Tampa out of bounds, so it is still Buffalo's ball. We bring it back to the spot of the fumble. First down.
Well, they've replayed it here on the big board at Tampa Stadium, and they don't like it.
It's being reviewed.
Your first look now as it is being reviewed. Was he in bounds?
I would have to think that they could not. They'd have to give it to Tampa there because it looks like the player had the ball cradled when he went ahead and slid out of bounds. Either way, it was a great job by Haddock stripping the ball. He didn't make much of an effort to try to tackle him, but he did strip it.
Look at the right side of Broderick Thomas, though. Was his shoulder pad and the right side, the right shoulder, out of bounds when he went down to gain possession? Glad they have to make the call and we don't.
If they reverse this one, they're going to have trouble getting out of here alive.
5:07 left in the third. Forget about the 2-minute warning on reviewable plays.
Well, the thing about Andre Reed is he always makes something happen. Usually it's bad for the other team. Here, it's not so good for Buffalo.
Now they have passed the 1-minute mark on the review. They instituted a couple of years ago the 2-minute review on replays. They are looking right now, we understand, in the replay booth for where Thomas's right shoulder was when he made and gained possession. They're watching the same replays you are.
I don't know if they can overturn that. It looks like he had possession just for a split second. But either way, one of the things that play kind of brings to the forefront is Tampa is a little bit sloppy now. They're not tackling so good. They're not hustling to the ball at all times. So that maybe doesn't look good for the Buffalo fans. Looks like Tampa's going to keep the ball.
They're still talking it over on the field.
But that's
Gordon McCarter waiting for word from upstairs.
Well, it's a great hustle, a great hustling play for Thomas to be down there 40 yards away from the line of scrimmage to even get to the ball.
A well-executed play on the misdirection, and it will belong to Buffalo. They'll keep the ball.
After review, the play stands ruled. Buffalo's ball at the spot of the fumble.
That's what it was. They said that his shoulder was out of bounds when he gained possession.
3 wide receivers for the Bills on 1st and 10 inside the Bucs 14-yard line. And now Kelly shouting out the signals. Can he be heard by his line over this crowd? Thomas trying to bounce it outside. He won't turn the corner. Thomas over there, along with the defensive back, Marty Carter, the rookie from Middle Tennessee State. A gain of just about a yard, that's all.
But Broderick Thomas is playing a very, very good game. He's all over the place. Here you'll see him inside. He turns and runs down Thurman Thomas, one of the fastest running backs in the league.
It'll bring up 2nd and 9, just inside the 13. 7-7 tie. Pressure up the middle. Kelly has time. Over the middle, just wide. He wanted Reed. Lofton in the same neighborhood. The two wideouts on the crossing pattern.
The Bucs run a gut blitz there. You'll see Thurman Thomas. Looks like, well, he doesn't. Here you'll see Lofton coming across on just a post pattern. Kelly not throwing the ball where he normally would. Not as sharp as he was early.
3rd and 9 out of the shotgun. Pressure again on Kelly. And it's taken in short of the first down by Thurman Thomas. Now, let's see where they put the spot. Right at the 4. Very close to where he had to go. He needed to go just inside the 4-yard line. And no, he will be short. So a decision for Marv Levy. 96, Tim Newton, the down lineman for the Bucs, shaken up on the play. Remember, Buffalo has had to use a timeout already. With too many men on the field. It was a defensive timeout. They've got 2 left in the second half. And what this injury is doing is giving Kelly and Buffalo an opportunity to explore their options.
And Newton looks like his leg is still bothering him. He went down in the first half. But the thing about Buffalo is another big play puts them down here close where they have a chance to go ahead. This offense creates a lot of big plays. Thurman Thomas here coming across on a real quick little crossing pattern underneath the safety.
Now, last week there was so much speculation that Marv Levy was upset over the way the New York Jets got off the field late because he thought, or at least it was reported that he thought there were injuries that didn't turn out to be injuries because those players returned a play or two later. I asked Marv about that. He said he never made that kind of comment. But after being inquired about that same situation 3 or 4 times, he finally said, you can speculate on it. And that is one way to stop the no-huddle.
Well, what the no-huddle does is it keeps your defensive personnel on the field, and you cannot substitute. It's like a 2-minute drill for 60 minutes. And if you have an injury, you can more or less change personnel. You can talk about some adjustments, do some different things. We talked earlier in the program about Floyd Peters yesterday telling us how they were not even going to worry about huddling up. They had hand signals signaling in to the linebackers, and then they relayed a call through the secondary in the front. Up till now, it's worked pretty well.
So the Bills will go for it on 4th and less than a yard. Marv Levy vehemently denied yesterday that he made those accusations about Bruce Coslett and the New York Jets. In fact, he said, wait a minute, that helped us get Lofton and Thomas back into the game in the 4th quarter last week.
Exactly. Those Lofton and Thomas had developed some minor problems, and it took a little while to get those guys back. By delaying the game, they were able to come back in and effectively put Buffalo in a position to win.
4th, less than 1. Inside the 5 of Tampa. Gardner, the only one in the backfield. He gets the call. He's stacked up right at the line. I don't believe he got the first down. The Buccaneers standing tall defensively. It would be the 2nd time they have stopped the Bills on 4th down. And yes, they get it back.
Well, you have to give an awful lot of credit to that defensive front of the Bucs.
Buccaneer defensive unit had only given up 46 points over the first 3 games. Spinning, Reggie Cobb still on his feet. Close to 10 yards on that carry. You're looking at a very inspired offensive group because of the play by the defensive unit. It is carried over the Hurts 10-minute ticker. The Giants in Miami winning by 3. Philadelphia now 3-1, while the Steelers fall to 2-2. New England with the surprise of the day. A 4-point victory over 3-1 Houston now. Washington taking care of Cincinnati while the Raiders lose on the road. A shutout for New Orleans. They're 4-0. And Detroit. And the Colts, their 4th straight loss, as Kansas City is pulling away from Seattle now. 2nd and short, Cobb again. And he is just across the 14. He is short, I believe, of the first down.
Well, Walt Corey is trying to get into the bag of tricks, bringing a corner blitz, or Odoms makes a good play.
Coming up tonight on NBC, the adventures of Mark and Brian. They come face to face with the jaws of death with a death-defying dive into a shark tank. And it's Erie, Indiana. Followed by Man of the People's Pacific Station and Guilty Until Proven Innocent. That's all tonight on NBC. So now it goes over to the opposite side. Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator of the Bills, and his unit. A banged-up group up front. Can they slow down? A group that has momentum. It just marched 70 yards for a touchdown. 3rd and inches. Cobb spins for the first down across the 15.
You're seeing the Tampa Bay offensive line hammer and hammer and hammer and create some seams for the big backs to fall through for good yardage. Here Cobb hits over the left side. He'll spin back for the first down. Buffalo going with that Sikkim defense. Only 2 defensive tackles in there, and then the rest of the guys, mainly linebackers. Those 300-pounders are starting to cave them in.
Darryl Talley almost had him in the backfield. 12th carry for Reggie Cobb. He's got 40 yards now. And more importantly, they're keeping Kelly and the Bills offense off the field. Cobb again. Won't spin away from that tackle. Ray Bentley was up there. Also Marcus Patton. No gain on that carry. If anything, a loss of a yard.
Number 50, Bentley, a very fine player against the run. You'll see him on the left of your screen. Here, he goes outside, then comes back in, falls in, and plugs a hole. Now, in this Sikkim defense, those interior linebackers, they are in charge of plugging those gaps. They're about 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Those guards get a good run at them. They have to attack.
2nd, still call it 10. They'll throw the ball from deep in their own territory. And going deep, it's intercepted. Picked off by Odoms. They wanted Carrier underthrown. Odoms taking it out of bounds inside the 25 where the Bills get it offensively. Well underthrown. Carrier did not turn around, was never aware that his quarterback was so short on the attempt.
Well, I think this is a throw Chandler would like to have back. Here he pumps, fakes, throws a duck. I don't know if the ball slipped or someone hit his arm. It doesn't look like there was that much of a pressure rush put on him, but there's a wounded duck that just got hung up, and Odoms makes the pick.
4th series of the 2nd half for Buffalo. We'll start deep in Tampa Bay territory. Believe it or not, this is the first time today that the Bills have started with the ball in the Buccaneers end of the field. On their side of the 50, Thomas, single set in the backfield. Will they try to strike quickly in the end zone? Kelly underneath the BB. It's complete. Out to the 15, short of the first down by about 3. Working on Wayne Haddix, the cornerback on the far side.
Well, that was almost identical to the play that BB turned into about a 25-yard gain down close to the goal line early on.
That led to their first touchdown and their only touchdown. The 1-yard run by Gardner. 4 turnovers for Buffalo, the first given up on the interception by the Buccaneers. They had only given it up 4 times over the first 3 weeks. Kelly pumping, still looking wide open. He's got McKellar. He's out of bounds. Frustration. Got away from the defender, but couldn't get both feet down.
Kelly does a good job here. He gets some heat. The pocket collapses around him. He looks off, finds McKellar, but throws a floater.
Just barely on the side.
The field, we rule incomplete pass, receiver out of bounds. The play is being reviewed.
Put the clock on this one. It looked like his left foot, just the outside of the left foot, may have caught the chalk.
Well, if you have any part of your foot touching that white, and it looks like just outside.
Incomplete pass, third down.
The play stands.
I don't see any reason to question that one. That was a good call. Who was out?
Plenty of Buffalo Bill fans at Tampa Stadium today, and with protection in the crowd. 3rd and 3, pressure up the middle, and Lofton can't hang on. Kelly had to hurry the throw. It was Broderick Thomas.
You're looking at a couple of guys that played college football at Alabama, both at the same position. Now, Broderick Thomas he played at Nebraska. I'm thinking about the other Thomas.
Derek.
But exactly. These guys are great fun to watch. He is putting on a clinic. On the other side, Cornelius Bennett, the fine linebacker for Buffalo, is putting on one. So
it'll be a 33-yard try coming up for Scott Norwood, trying to give the Bills the lead. He missed a 36-yarder earlier. That was pushed wide right. The exchange is a good one. And the Buffalo Bills do take the lead. The 5th field goal of the season for Scott Norwood. He had 3 last week, a 52-yarder, tying a team record, his career best, and a 50-yarder the week before. And now the Bills on the 33-yarder lead it by 3.
Well, Kelly is still throwing for over 50%, but a lot of his throws don't look as sharp as they normally do, Joel.
There is so much attention on Norwood coming back to the stadium where he missed the field goal in Super Bowl against the Giants. Next Sunday, NFL Live starts a little bit later at 3:30 after the Ryder Cup. It'll be Kansas City, San Diego, Miami at the Jets. Dan and I will be at the Kingdom in Seattle for the Colts matchup. Their 0-4 record going up against the Seahawks. The Seahawks were on their way to a setback to Kansas City today. That is all next Sunday. Starts at 3:30 with NFL Live. Well, a lot closer than most expected, but let's not forget, the last 4 times these two teams have gotten together, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have come out on top over the Buffalo Bills. The most recent in '88, a 10-5 win for the Bucs. The only time, believe it or not, that a game has ended in 10-5 in the NFL, right here at Tampa Stadium, under the Erie, Indiana department. Scoring drive. Now they couldn't capitalize with a 7 after the interception by Odoms, but they do get the 3. Del Iso into the wind. It'll be taken by Gary Anderson. They're setting it up for the near side. Can he get outside of Steve Tasker? Well, Tasker runs him down with help. And that is the final play of the 3rd quarter as they are alive at Tampa Stadium. The Buccaneers in the thick of things. They're only down by 3 at the end of 3. We'll be right back after these messages from your local. We get ready for the start of the 3rd quarter. A 10-7 Bills lead over the Buccaneers. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. Speaking of front runners, this guy cannot get the NFC Central Division out of his system.
I'm not pulling for the Bucs. What makes you think that?
The lengths this man will go to. 1st and 10 for the Bucs. Outside of their own 30-yard line. Reggie Cobb powering it up the middle. He's close to another 1st down at the 40-yard line. Well, this is what the Jets did so effectively last week. Running the ball right at the teeth of the defense because there's not many teeth left right now for the Buffalo Bills.
When you got running backs like Cobb and Anderson, and you've got mismatches like we've talked about all day, in that Sikkim defense, you've got 300-pound tackles on linebackers. You've got to go ahead and pound away. Tampa Bay is sticking to their game plan perfectly.
Cobb again with the 1st down into the secondary. He dives into the 43-yard line of Buffalo. They're down by 3 in the opening minute of the 4th quarter.
Walt Corey's going to have to get back in his sandbox and draw something up to stop this pound-away attack by the Buccaneers. You can see him scratching his head. Walt told us he's going to have to buy a case of Sominex.
Bruce Smith should be back next week. And then a week later, they should have Jeff Wright returning as well. 1st and 10, the 44 of Buffalo. Inside give Robert Wilson up the middle. They fake the pitch, they stuff it in the belly on the dive.
This play's been around as long as the game of football. It's just a gut play. Everyone come out, they hand it to the fullback. All he does is cut back. Here you'll see Darryl Talley, 56, getting up the field a little bit too far. He's unblocked. He has got to make that play. Otherwise, you get a 15-yard gain against your defense.
It looked like he bit a little bit on that fake by the quarterback, and he was a step onto the other side. Cobb and Weatherspoon taking over now. The rookie from Houston is the fullback now as they're split behind Chandler. 1st and 10. Impressive start to the 4th. Chandler finding some time, moving the pocket. He's got problems. Going to get rid of it and throws it away. He threw it towards an offensive lineman. No flag yet, though. We'll be right back to a wild Tampa Stadium. Let's first go with Bob Costas, though.
All right, Joel, let's update a trend we alluded to on the pregame show. Look at these stats. Through 4 games this year, as opposed to the first 4 weeks last year, you can see scoring continues to be down. On the other hand, the emphasis is on running the ball control. Double the number of 100-yard rushing performances through 4 weeks this year as opposed to 1990. 5 of them 100-yard rushing performances throughout the league today. Back to Joel.
Thank you, Bob. It's got to concern league officials scoring down. Fewer plays being taken in each game because of the new rules concerning time. Underthrows the tight end Ed Thomas, who was available, beating the strong safety Leonard Smith.
I don't know if it's so much if it's not by design. I don't think the defenses are playing that much better, but I think since the Giants won the Super Bowl, a lot of people said, hey, look what they did. They controlled the clock. They didn't fumble. They just pounded away through the ball when they had to, and they go to the Super Bowl and win it. So a lot of times, you know, people imitate success in this league so much. Maybe it's by design, and they're not really worried about scoring more points, just winning.
Bucks 5 of 13 on 3rd downs. This is 3rd and long, 3rd and 10. Pressure coming from the outside. Chandler gets rid of it. Has Hill for the 1st down.
We talked about Walt Corey and how he has to get in that sandbox and come up with something. You'll see on the left of your screen, number 20, Henry Jones, a cornerback, blitzing. Trying anything to get this Buccaneer offense slowed down. Chandler does a great job. The receiver realizes it is a blitz. He just runs a little square out, but good enough for the 1st down.
He knows he's got man-to-man coverage. There's the rookie from Illinois. It started back at the Bucks 31. Now it's 1st and 10 at the 18 of Buffalo. Cobb, the workaholic on this drive. Close to the 16. Plenty of pounding up front by these two now.
Well, this looks like a professional fight in the later rounds. It's just a slugfest now. Conlon filling the gap here. Wilson, the big fullback, having to take him, gets him down. Cobb makes a pretty good cut, but Leon Seals closing down from the left side, trying to control that run. But you're seeing Buffalo commit an awful lot of people to the line of scrimmage. Watch for Chandler raising up and hitting somebody over the middle because they're having to pull out of the safeties and the linebackers to try to get that run stop.
Those totals a career best for the Tennessee Volunteer. In his 2nd season, Reggie Cobb. He stays back there with Robert Wilson. And Chandler falls down, still got the handoff off.
That was pretty handy.
Chandler may have turned an ankle in the process. So now it's going to be 3rd and long once again for the Bucks.
You'll see the right guard, Beckles, step on his toe. Number 62, the right guard, Ian Beckles, does a little toe tap there. Gets him into 3rd and long.
For the average person, that is like somebody taking a hammer and slamming it on your foot. Hey, Beckles only goes at 300 pounds. The late scores on the Fram 10-minute ticker. San Francisco pulling away from the Rams. Kansas City doing the same, and a tight one in Denver. Now 3rd and a dozen. Can they give him enough time? Over the middle, it's Hill. He's got the 1st down. 1st and goal, Tampa Bay. He has come up with so many big grabs today.
Well, I was talking a few minutes ago, if the offensive coordinator, Hank Coolman, is on the ball, he'll realize that defense is worried about the run. They're bringing a lot of guys up to the line. Throw a quick slant, something across the middle, a crossing pattern. There's a lot of yardage in there that they can be had pretty easily.
Buccaneers trying to take the lead with exactly 10 minutes left in the fourth. First and goal outside of the 6. They're down 10-7. Wilson and Cobb stay in the backfield. Dawsey goes in motion. And now flags.
I'm not sure whether it's a missed snap or maybe the Bills' defensive line jumped a little bit early.
Now the Buccaneers came in leading the NFL in penalty yardage. 27 flags against them over 3, and it looks like it may be movement early. Encroachment on the defense. Was there contact?
I'm not sure about that. Wilson, the fullback,
was towards the line in motion.
Exactly. We'll see.
Illegal motion, number 20 offense.
Okay.
Offside, defense, penalties offset, replay the down.
A big break for Tampa Bay. Looked like the Canadian Football League for a second.
Exactly. Sacks and penalties. Here we go again. The penalties are... You just got to think that Chandler needs to stay settled down and not do anything silly here. He's played very well since entering the game.
He's hung in the pocket a lot better in the second half than Testaverde did in the first half.
He's getting pretty good protection too, Joel. They're bringing an awful lot of people on the passer every play, and he hasn't been hit that much.
First and goal outside of the 6 all over again. Reggie Cobb has a seam and takes it to the 2. Well, in talking to the Buccaneers, they said that this Bill defensive unit is a hard pursuit, hard-hitting unit. You find a crease, you can hit a big one.
And not only that, being late in the game here, those defensive players are going to get a little bit more sloppy with this heat and fatigue. You'll see the best thing to do is just a zone block, just man-on-man coming off, and then let the back find a crease. They're loaded. The right defensive tackle got walled down inside a little bit and lost his area of control. Cobb falls in behind him for about 4 or 5.
65 yards on the ground. Richard Williamson looking for his first win of the year. His second since taking over the Buccaneers late last year for Ray Perkins. Second and goal at the 2. They just barely get the play off in time. Cobb around the corner. Dives. He did not make it, though. Out of bounds inside the 1. And they got that play off when the play clock was on 1 second remaining.
Well, when the head coach Williams has said we need to run the ball and burn the clock, that's not what he's talking about. Here, you'll see him try to get to the corner of the end zone, but as you said, Joel, that Buffalo defense is still pursuing awfully well.
And now third and goal coming up. Cobb scored the only touchdown so far on a 1-yard run for the Buccaneers. Will number 34 get the call once again? He's set up behind Robert Wilson. Third and goal. It's Cobb. He did not make it. They stacked him up. It looked like Shane Conlon got up high.
Shane Conlon, in a goal line offense like this where they're just trying to just knock you into the end zone, the back will come up. The offensive line is supposed to more or less try to get a surge and get those defensive linemen down. The linebacker's responsible just to hit you at the top and knock you back. Their Conlon did it perfectly.
Fourth down when we return.
It's not a
Wells Conlon 58-56 tally. And let's not forget about Odell Haggins down low.
Exactly. You've got to give a lot of credit to that Buffalo front. They're being decimated by the injuries. They're like fighting with one arm tied behind their back, and they were able to stop them on that 3rd and 1 on goal. That's great effort by the Buff defense.
They won't go for the touchdown. They'll go for the field goal. Steve Christie trying to tie it up on 4th down. And it is all even in Tampa, Florida. An interesting call, because if you don't make it down on 4th down, you leave the Bills back on their own goal line, taking over offensively. But Richard Williamson, still looking for his first win this year, didn't want to take any chances.
We talked to the Bucs at length yesterday, and I think the word that kept coming up was confidence. Well, if you go for it on 4th and 1 and you don't get any points at all, I think you destroy whatever confidence this Tampa Bay Buc team is more or less built during the course of this ball game. So I think he did the smart thing, in my opinion. Go ahead and get the sure points tied up. Keep everybody's interest. If you don't make anything there, well, you're going to see some long faces on that sideline, and they're going to start saying, hey, here we go again. But you get the confidence up, and confidence comes from being successful. And success, like I said earlier, comes from being disciplined and not making mistakes.
A fresh stick for the final 8:01 for Marv Levy. And don't forget, coming up tonight on NBC, it all starts with the adventures of Mark and Brian. Then it's Erie, Indiana, Man of the People, Pacific Station, and Guilty until proven innocent. Right after NFL football on NBC. 8:01 remaining in the 4th. Eddie Fuller and Al Edwards waiting for the kickoff from Steve Christie. It's headed in the direction of Al Edwards at the 4. And nothing doing up the middle. Good coverage by the Buccaneers as he stopped short of the 25. So Kelly in the offense has not been on, they haven't been on the field all that much in the second half. 17 of 32 for 252 yards. That last drive for the Bucs had started at their own 31 all the way down to the 1. Took almost 7 minutes off the clock.
Well, those are great stats, and you know, Kelly in this offense is awesome, but still, they have not clicked on all cylinders all day.
He's resetting Thurman Thomas in the backfield. Doubling up on the wide side of the field. And Thomas with room to roam in the secondary. And he's got close to a first down. And one of the Bucs took quite a shot at the end of the play. Nine on the carry. 570 yards of offense between the two teams. Buffalo coming in, averaging close to 470, though. Over 470. Over the middle, James Lofton for the first down on 2nd and the yard. Most teams will run it. Not the Buffalo Bills. First down at the 42-yard line.
Well, I think that Buffalo knows that they need to balance up a little bit, but it looks like Kelly is able to get that pattern, you know, the throw to that pattern anytime he wants it.
Flags on the play, crossing for Beebe. He's belted by Covington. Does a great job to hang on to the ball, but let's see what the flag's all about. Will it go against the Bills?
Ball start. Number 80 offense. 5 yards.
Lofton cost the Bills a first down. Instead, it'll be first down all over again. And 15 yards. James got 5 balls last week. Moving into 2nd place on the all-time list. Passing Charlie Joyner. And yardage by a wide receiver. 5th in receptions. Overall in the NFL. 10 penalties between the two teams. 1st and 15. Thomas on the reverse to Reed. Will it work this time? It's sealed off again. They'll get at least a first down out of it. And exactly that. Just inside the 48-yard line. Second time it's worked this afternoon. Forced out by Jesse Solomon.
You're talking about being disciplined. If you're a good defense, the reverse should never work. Someone is responsible for the reverse on every play. There you've seen the Buffalo run the reverse twice. Once for about 40 yards and that one for a first down. So, you know, Tampa has got some good people. They're playing pretty good, but they just got to be disciplined.
Misdirection for Thurman Thomas. Good yardage for Thomas. Down to the 40-yard line. Solomon and Broderick Thomas combining for the stop. 8 on the carry. And quickly from their own 24. The Bills have it at the Bucs' 40-yard line.
Well, the Bills love this play. It's the counter OT. There, Thurman Thomas, he's supposed to hit up inside, but McCants closed the play down like a trap. He's so gifted at getting back outside, shifting, and making cuts. He made something out of nothing.
Kelly on the quick one. Lofton wide open, working on Covington. What a breakdown in the secondary. It was only a 2-step drop for Jim Kelly.
You know, Tampa Bay's defense, they're giving this Buffalo Bill offense an awful lot of respect. They're in a soft zone, but that's too soft. Lofton just comes off the ball, 3 steps, turns around. The cornerback is still 12, 14 yards away from him. Now, Lofton is a great player, but I don't know if you can give anyone that kind of a cushion.
That's like you're putting him in the Hall of Fame already.
No kidding.
First and 10 at the 28. Kelly has the McKellar. The tight end inside the 10. Touchdown, Buffalo. It took less than 3 minutes for the Buffalo Bills to travel 76 yards.
Well, that was a great pass from McKellar, from Kelly. You know, we talked about Kelly not being able to throw the ball quite as accurate. That was a picture-perfect pass. McKellar splits the zone there. The safety makes a bad adjustment. This offense is, they just force you into a big play type of a football game.
Norwood converts the extra point, and it's going down to the wire for the Buccaneers, trailing.
Brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around. By First Brands Corporation, makers of Prestone Advanced Formula Antifreeze. By Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now. And by Right Guard Sports Stick, anything less would be uncivilized.
Welcome back to Tampa Stadium. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. 5:21 left in the fourth and final quarter. The Bills by 7 on a perfect pass by Jim Kelly. Finding the one they call killer, Keith McKellar. They were in that K-gun formation, and that's why it's called the K-gun for Killer McKellar.
Well, Joe, that's their bread and butter offense. They've got 3 wideouts, Thurman Thomas in the backfield, and McKellar, the big tight end, also in there for either protection or get out on one of these quick routes. On that one, Kelly threw the ball perfectly. McKellar split the seam. The safety made the bad adjustment and went the whole way. That's the thing. The K-gun, they think they've got 5 guys that can go the length of the field and score.
Anderson and Robert Hardy waiting for the kickoff. Brad Delwiso. Line drive deep into the end zone. Exactly what he was brought to the Buffalo Bills for. He started with the Atlanta Falcons this year. And don't forget, coming up next on NBC, it's the real-life deep-sea adventures of Mark and Brian. Then it's one of the weirdest new shows of the season, Erie, Indiana, followed by 2 great stars and 2 great new shows. James Garner is a man of the people, and Robert Guillaume stars in Pacific Station. And Martin Sheen will star in the NBC world premiere movie, Guilty Until Proven Innocent. That is all tonight on NBC, right after NFL football. But still, so much to be determined over the final 5 minutes and 14 seconds for the Buccaneers. They've been able to come up with a big play before. They had an 87-yard touchdown pass last week, going to Willie Drury against the Packers. Gary Anderson trying to make the big play out of the backfield, breaking tackles, and they barely get him from behind. He's got a first down across the 30. An opportunity to look at the Fram 10-minute ticker. Final scores early today. The Giants, Miami winning by 3. Philadelphia 3-1 now with their win over the 2-2 Steelers. The biggest surprise, though, the New England Patriots winning and knocking off the Houston Oilers for the first time this year. Washington doing a number on Cincinnati. Atlanta topping the Raiders. While the Saints are 4-0, and Detroit hands the 4th straight loss to Ron Meyer and the Colts. San Francisco pulls away. Kansas City wins by 7, and Denver beats San Diego. Anderson, can he reverse his field? Now he's looking for a block. Chandler almost came up trying to throw that block to seal it off and send him the other way. Instead, it's a gain of just about 2 yards. So a 2nd and long situation coming up for Chandler. Definite passing situation for the Buccaneers.
With a player like Anderson, in a situation like this, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, you think that Chandler will try to get the ball into Gary Anderson's hands. A lot of times he'll be matched up on a linebacker. That's ideal. Anderson is so fast and quick, he can run away from most.
They're blitzing up the middle, the dump off for Wilson. Leonard Smith puts him down, sliding down to the 35-yard line. The blitz was coming straight up the middle from the linebacker. That was Shane Conlon. What do you call that, a belly blitz?
Well, a lot of times if a quarterback's throwing the ball pretty effectively, what you want to do is get someone in his face. You bring somebody right up the middle. And what you do there is you make the two guards, Mayberry and the center, make a call where they have to pick up those blitzers. Sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's linebackers. But you get somebody right in the quarterback's vision, and it distracts him.
3rd and 5. Third down conversions, a real sore spot for the Buccaneers over the first 3 weeks. Can they come through in the clutch? Exactly 3 minutes left. Chandler with time and a receiver, Bruce Hill. First down, working on the rookie from Illinois, Henry Jones. Again, the clutch catches by number 84.
Well, Buffalo brought some other guys on the blitz there. What you see are the cornerbacks up there on a bump and run situation, trying to deny the receiver a quick pitch or a quick slant. There, Chandler threw the ball perfectly. Good enough for a first down.
First down's almost identical. 1st and 10 to 42. Bucks have 2 timeouts left. The Bills with 1 remaining. And the clock rolling, 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in the 4th. Short drop for Chandler. It's the wideout who springs away. That's Willie Drury. He shortened the first down by a couple, but stops the clock with 2:06 left by getting it out of bounds. Plan B signing from Houston in 1989. So much more a part of the offense this year than last year, when he only had 7 catches. But a big play guy. He had a 26-yard average last year. And he had that 87-yard reception last week against the Packers. An 87-yarder for number 87. Wilson, Anderson in the eye on 2nd and 2. Anderson, indecision. He is sacked up right at the marker. That'll be the final play, taking us up to the 2-minute warning. We'll be right back to find out if he does have enough for the first down, or will it be 3rd and inches, as there's 2 minutes remaining in quarter. Replay of the game, and it was reversed. And to Andre Reed.
Reed, a great receiver, but he's a great runner, too. Here, he gets downfield. You'll see Tim Kelly trying to get a block. Here, Haddix, the cornerback for Tampa, strips the ball. You see him hatchet the ball out. Then, Broderick Thomas, number 51 for the Bucks. There was a controversial call there whether or not he had possession, but that was a great play for Andre Reed.
He's had 2 reverses today. The 49-yard one we just saw, and another that went for a little bit more than 15 yards, picking up a first down. In his 100th career game today, Andre Reed for the Buffalo Bills.
Obviously, Tampa wants to be able to get down and get a touchdown to tie the game up, but how much time are you going to try to use, Joel? Are you going to try to go get it now? Because if you do and you leave too much time, Buffalo can go the length of the field in 30, 40 seconds. It appears if Kelly's hot, so it'll be interesting to see their composure here.
And we remind you, this telecast is presented by authority of the NFL. It's also intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Buccaneers, the NFL is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League, Buffalo Bills, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all rights reserved. 3rd and an inch. Cobb, the only one in the backfield. And Cobb's got the first down. He got only a yard on the carry, but they've got to go to a hurry up now. Only 2 timeouts remaining for the Bucks. And don't forget, coming up right after Buccaneer Bills football, the adventures of Mark and Brian tonight on NBC. That'll be followed by Erie, Indiana. Then it's the man of the people in Pacific Station, followed by guilty until proven innocent. That's all tonight on NBC. 1st and 10 from the Bills' 47. The tight end's got it. Hanging on to it at the 41-yard line, Ed Jones. He's been a primary target today with a couple of big catches. Under 90 seconds and rolling. 2nd and 4. Now let's see how the backup quarterback handles the hurry-up offense. The quick out, Carrier's got it. And Carrier's got the first down. Well, he was trying to make the big play instead of trying to stop the clock, and you have to question that decision, Dan.
Well, Carrier trying to make the big play. He tries to go back inside, but the pursuit gets him. He should have got out of bounds and stopped the clock.
They have to use their timeout. They've only got one remaining with 1:06 left.
The National Football League is brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Call Domino's Pizza right now, and you'll be enjoying a hot, delicious pizza when the game is over.
You have to question the decision by wide receiver Mark Carrier on that last play, Dan, because now Tampa Bay with only one timeout left.
Well, they had to burn the timeout because Carrier has the first down, trying to make the big play. Gets back inside. He should have got outside, stopped the clock. Said they burned the timeout.
1:06 remaining. 1st and 10 for the Bucs at the 34. Delay for Robert Wilson. Wilson with a flag down on the play. Normally where you see a holding call. They threw it right around the right side. Charles McCray, the right tackle. 10-yard mark-off coming up against the Bucs.
Well, we talked earlier about how they have to be disciplined. They can't get little penalties like this, holding penalties. The receiver has to get out of bounds, stop the clock. Little things are discipline. Could be holding.
69 offense, 10 yards,
Yes.
3 feet first stop.
It's John Bruin who's getting his first start of the year.
You'll see him, the left guard, number 69. He holds Lodish here, more or less tackles him. The official, you'll see, is looking right at it. That's just too obvious. In a play like that, Lodish more or less takes himself out of the play. Just get your hands off of it. The ball is already past him. Discipline.
So now 1st and 20. Back outside of the Bills' 44. Pressure coming up the middle. Chandler going down the sideline. And it's intercepted and dropped. Incomplete. Leonard Smith almost put the game away for Buffalo.
Kirby Jackson may have gotten away with a little bit of a hole there. Leonard Smith dropping the ball, but if you'll watch 47 here, no, he didn't. Leonard Smith had a sure.
He never really had possession on his way down.
No, he didn't have possession, and not only that, but the contact with the receiver more or less disrupts his concentration. He drops it.
That snapped a string of 7 straight completions for Chris Chandler. Now he's facing 2nd and 20. 54 seconds left. Pocket holds up for Chandler over the middle. Ed Jones, the tight end's got it close to the first down.
It looks like
Ed Thomas, rather.
A little bit short, Joel. No, they give him a good spot.
And now a timeout to determine whether or not he did get the first down, as Jordan McCarter is called for the chains. Buffalo up by 7. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBC's NFL football is John Paratzis. Today's game produced by Glenn Adamo and directed by John Gilmartin. Our associate director, Dick Ellis, our production associate, Bill Herbstman, and our technical manager, Keith Scammahorn. And do they have it by the nose of the football? No, just barely short. So now 3rd and a couple of inches. And only one timeout left, remember. Now that timeout that they had to use because Carrier didn't get the sideline really figures to be a big play.
Not only that, but the official had to call time there. That came in very handy. They could get another call in.
Chandler diving for the first 10. A first down for Chris Chandler. Now, do they use their last timeout? I don't think they have a choice. Well, it's stopped by the official to move the chains. Save the last time out and throw it in the ground. Marv Levy wants to know why they have not started the clock once again. 24 seconds remaining. Why is the clock stopped?
Tampa Bay, 3rd and last.
That's why it stopped, Marv. The Buccaneers do use their final timeout. We'll be back for the final 24 seconds. Left, the defensive coordinator, and Marv Levy, the head coach to your right. How many people do you bring? You know they've got to throw the ball because Tampa Bay is out of timeouts. Now, how many people do you send? Cornelius Bennett? You'd have to think he's coming after the quarterback.
Well, Cornelius has been playing a lot at left end in their nickel and dime packages, rushing the passer, but they haven't put a whole lot of pressure on him. Look for Corey to bring 6. I think that he's going to say, hey, we're going to live and die. And you got to think, Buffalo, last time they were in the stadium, it was about the same place when they were fighting the Giants.
3 wideouts, Dossie, Hill, and Carrier on 1st and 10 from the 23. Bennett from the outside. Chandler steps up. His man fell down. It looked like a trap from here. Are they calling it a complete pass or not? Yes, they are. Unbelievable. That'll be reviewed at the 8-yard line.
Well, you saw Corey brought 4.
Clock continues to run. One final play, and he throws it down with 2 seconds left.
A barn burner. Gee.
I am truly surprised, though, that they didn't stop the clock to find out whether or not that was a completion.
Well, if the officials have to look at it, they've got to put time back on the clock, because you'll see Richard Williamson pleading his case.
No, they've had a play, so they can't review it any longer.
Okay, so.
But we can review it.
Chandler back. Bennett coming on the outside, just gets driven by. Chandler steps up, throws the ball. Now, did he catch it?
Ooh, quite a scoop. Quite a scoop by the wide receiver. It's down to the 8th, final play. 2 seconds to go. Chandler with time. Into the end zone, underthrows his man. He never planted, and he didn't have that much pressure to begin with. So that's the way it ends in Tampa, Florida. Another frustrating loss for the Buccaneers, who are now 0-4. And they have lost their first 4 games by a total of 13 points. We'll be right back to wrap things up from Tampa Stadium. The final score, the Bills beating the Bucs 17-10 for the Buccaneers.
Well, Chandler came in, did an awful lot of good things today. Here, he just never really plants and throws the ball. That's a sad ending to a pretty good song.
So the second half, a very positive one, except for that final throw by Chris Chandler. Give the Buccaneers credit. They went in, they wanted to control the ball, keep the Bills no huddle off the field. When the Bills finally got it back, though, less than 3 minutes to drive the ball, 76 yards for that game-winning score.
Well, they had a few miscues on that final drive, but, you know, this team needs a little bit of success to build their confidence. They made too many mistakes today to win, but they showed they can still play with some of the great teams in the league.
Buffalo Bills now back to the drawing board as far as their ground game is concerned. It looked like they really didn't make that kind of commitment you normally see from the Buffalo Bills on the ground with Thurman Thomas.
Well, like you said, Joel, I don't think they were committed to running the ball today. More than anything else, I think they just wanted to come in and try to get a win. They didn't really try to sell anything. They just tried to get out of here alive.
So the Buffalo Bills raise their record to 4-0 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 0-4. A nail-biter if you're a Buccaneer fan, down to the wire. And don't forget, coming up next on NBC, it's NBC Tonight with the Bills winning by 7. It all starts with the adventures of Mark and Brian, followed by Erie, Indiana. And James Garner stars in Man of the People. And Robert Guillaume stars in Pacific Station, followed by the NBC world premiere movie, Guilty Until Proven Innocent. I'm Joel Myers, along with Dan Hampton. Thank you for joining this afternoon from Tampa, Florida. The Bills win it by 7 over the Bucs. Have a good night, everybody.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. Come fly the friendly skies.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC Sports, network of the games of the 25th Olympiad.